better not have no plans tonight.
Movie time and it's feeling right.
You're looking for a love that lasts. You'll find it at Romancing the Podcast. Ooh, ooh, baby, you had me at hello. Ooh, I love you.
I know.
Ooh, ooh, baby, you're the wind beneath my wings. Ooh, ah, I'll have what she's having.
Thank you for tuning into Romancing the Pod. You had us at, oh, I'm Paige Wesley.
And I'm Todd, and that means this week, Paige made us watch
Titanic.
Welcome to our 300th episode. Paige, I know because you've said it many times.
Correct.
This is the first time you've seen Titanic.
This was the first time I ever saw Titanic.
So what did you think about Titanic the first time you saw it today or maybe last night?
Last night, yes.
Yeah.
So a little background, because I'm sure a lot of you are like, how in Beyonce's America 2026 has Paige never seen Titanic?
I mean, I saw it in theaters. It was like ubiquitous
Sure.
at the time. Like, we'll talk about it in box office, but it made, and I think this is the medical term, a shitload.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, and you were like 13 when it came out, right?
I was young, yeah.
And it is PG-13, so you could go see it. So I was not allowed to see this when it came out, and I did text my parents last night to ask them questions about that, and I will reveal their answers momentarily.
They were like, we were doing you a favor. It wasn't religious. It was like a
100%.
favor. You're welcome. Yeah. I think I know your dad well enough, and your mom to say that.
Well, I'm sure that I'm not the only person who has this kind of relationship with their parents where, like, especially because we grew up in the Satanic Panic 90s, right? The aftermath of the big 80s one in the 90s where people were still very cautious. And there are absolutely things that, like, my parents did not let us do because other parents, probably someone from church, probably a friend of a friend, didn't let their kids do. And so my parents were like, we're not letting our kids do that. And then there's some things that I have now learned as a grown-up that I think were just my parents' personal preference. And then they came up with a reason for us not to do it.
Yeah.
So as to just continue to not have to do it themselves. And the question then always becomes, as an adult, which camp did this fall into?
Right.
Was this something that they were scared of and didn't want us to watch and had other people told them about things and that's why they said no? Or were they just like, we didn't want to see it? And I'm happy to tell you, it's both.
Nice.
This one was both. I remember the reason they gave me at the time was that they were not comfortable letting us see the nudity or the sex scenes. Now, as an adult, having seen this movie, that is laughable because they are minor and barely in the film.
I mean, she is naked, but it's not like sexual,
Sure.
really. It's like art, you know?
It's kind of artsy, and then we just see the hand. Like, it's nothing, right?
Right.
But that was definitely a thing at the time that, like, I knew other parents around were not letting their kids see it for that. So I think that was their excuse for them not to have to go see it, because neither of them wanted to see it, which is also how I found out my parents have not seen Titanic. Neither of them. Ever. They never sat down to watch it.
I mean, I get it. It would have been in between, like, them going to romantic movies because, now they got kids to raise and they don't have time for all that shit.
Right.
And, like, now where they can go do whatever they want because their kids are out of the house,
Well, the thing that I have always laughed about as an adult, not being allowed to see this when it came out, was that we definitely saw Tomorrow Never Dies the same year, which is a James Bond movie.
Yeah, it's way better than this.
Way better than this.
Yeah.
So much better.
I get that.
But absolutely has more sex in it. So, like, there's no reason. And I always was like, maybe they just thought there was more sex in this or whatever. So then in talking to my parents last night, they were like, yeah, you were too young you were 10 and, like, people said there was sex in it.
I mean, yeah, mate, I could see that. I don't think that that's not wrong necessarily. I mean, they can decide what their 10-year-old gets to see Kate Winslet's tits or not.
But then they had a secondary reason. A, they didn't want to see it, but B, and Todd, I feel like you and I have this in common.
Probably.
I cry during movies.
All the time. I cry during movies more than anything else in my life.
I get really into it.
Yeah. I cried during Project Hail Mary, guys.
I know I'm going to cry during Project Hail Mary just because I don't own that sweater yet.
Amaze.
But it was a problem when I was a child because I would get very emotionally invested in movies to the point where, do you remember the Winnie the Pooh episode where Tigger loses his bounce?
Yeah.
I was inconsolable as a child at the thought of Tigger losing his bounce.
His bounce.
He lost his bounce. And then they took me in the theaters to see Homeward Bound. And I was a fucking mess. Like a loud, sobbing fucking mess. And so they heard about the nudity in Titanic and were like, yeah, maybe we just won't let them see it. And then they also heard that Leonardo DiCaprio froze to death at the end. And they're like, there's no way we're taking her to see that because they were worried I would be too sad. Like I would be a problem in the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not cry when watching it as an adult. I was too busy yelling at the screen. And that brings me to about 4 years ago when I, at the time, was writing for a shipwreck podcast.
Yeah.
Ship Hits the Fan. And I wrote their Titanic episode and didn't tell anyone initially that I had never seen the film. I just wrote, I was like, well, this is about the real ship. I'll just look up all the facts.
Yeah, it's the history.
It's the history.
Yeah.
I'll write it about the real ship. And then I turned my script for the 2-episode arc, like big episode. I turned it in and they were like, this is great. Can you put in just a little bit more stuff about like what the movie gets wrong, what the movie gets right? And at that point, I then had to admit, and I do think this was my last episode of Ship Hits the Fan because
you got fired because you hadn't seen the movie.
The show ended right before Ocean Gate happened too. Such a downer. And they were kind of planning for this to be the end. One host was about to go on like, parental leave and it was a whole thing. Anyway, so I then had to admit, hey, I've never actually seen Titanic. Like, I know a lot of the like societal stuff about it because I live in America, but I've never sat down and seen it. And they were like, well, just do your best. And so I just researched the differences.
Yeah, I'm sure you could just look up a list online. Like, blogs exist.
That is 100% what I did. And then that episode went out, but I, again, still had never sat through it. And then I kept hearing more about like, oh, they sink the ship in real time, which they absolutely did, by the way. But now, when I had to watch this today or last night, and I pulled up my old notes from that episode, I do have a bunch of like factual weird knowledge about this.
Hell yeah.
I will use some of it in fun facts, but mostly if you really know your Titanic lore, I feel like this would be impossible for you to watch and enjoy because of some of the things that they crucially get wrong. But then also, for all of that, even though I've had to write that episode, whatever, Titanic is not one of my historical hyperfocuses. Like, as an ADHD person who loves themselves some history,
Same.
We pick our spots.
Yeah.
And this is not one of mine. It's one that I have been forced to learn about through jobs. And like...
I would say I know about Titanic because I've seen Titanic in pop culture. Like, it's not even... Like, it's not one of mine either, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, I do think it's very sad what happened. And it's like, another example of hubris killing somebody right in this spot on the planet.
Right.
And like, I don't know what's going on. Is it like a hubris Bermuda Triangle over there? Because like, it happens. Like, people's hubris leads other people to die a lot in that specific spot. And that's weird to me.
This isn't even my main historical shipwreck that I'm concerned about.
Which one trumps the Titanic?
Oh, the one where they were carrying the bombs, dropped them off, and then on their way back, shipwreck, got stuck in the ocean, sharks ate them.
Oh, Indianapolis?
Yeah, Indianapolis.
Oh, the one from Quint? Like Quint's story?
The way better one. Better. Better is not the word to use. Yeah. But this is absolutely James Cameron's favorite one.
Yeah.
I texted you last night as I was watching this. I think James Cameron wants to fuck this boat.
He does.
And like watching it outside of the pop culture height of pop culture that this was, I can understand why everyone was into it at the time. Visually, there was nothing like this at the time.
No, and it is really amazing for 97. Yeah.
Truly. And it does hold up. There's a lot of like really visually cool stuff that they spend way too much fucking time on.
And money.
Yeah. Because a lot of it's practical.
Yeah.
Like so much of this is practical.
Like this is a super expensive movie. But we're going to talk about it, obviously. But yeah.
And here's the thing, though. Every cent of that is on the screen.
It really is.
But it is purely like them like lighting money on fire for one man's very nerdy dream. And like once you get past that, because I am watching this with 2026 eyes, where I have also seen like Lord of the Rings and like other things that were equally visually cool looking, that it's a standout. I can be like, oh, for 97, this looks good, right? But like for today, it looks like a movie. And like the dialogue is bad. The relationship is barely there.
They have as much relationship as Romeo and Juliet. Like, so it's
they've known each other 2 days.
Yeah. So I don't like hate it as a trope. But like
don't get me wrong. Billy Zane is full evil and the most fun person to watch in this movie.
Yes.
Because he like understands the assignment and is like, I'm gonna be a fucking villain. And it's just going for it. And it's also peak hotness Billy Zane too. It's amazing.
Yeah. You know Billy Zane's committed to the evil when every time everyone else around him is like laughing normal and he's going it's
just with like a raised eyebrow.
He's laughing like he's a Muppet. And it's like, why are you laughing so evilly?
I have a child. But then there's also the score, which is the same song, the entire there are no different scores. It is just My Heart Will Go On, played on different reed instruments.
And they're all synthesizer, though. It's like you died and went to synthesizer church.
Yes, yeah. Well, and I desperately wanted, because again, I was a child when this happened. So yes, we did play My Heart Will Go On a recorder at school. And so like, I kind of wanted a bad recorder version of it, like that Jurassic Park one. Like,
yes.
Just a chorus of children badly playing the recorder to My Heart Will Go On. So the score is terrible. And then clearly James Cameron is so obsessed with just the like facts of the Titanic that every once in a while he will have a character just stop within the world of the movie and then be like, oh yeah, and then say a Titanic fact. And when it's mostly Bill Paxton, I'm like, all right, okay, fine. But then when it was Kate Winslet, I was like, no, I refuse. This is so dumb. Just, you gotta stop doing this. Like, at least let Victor Garber say it instead. Like, but it's that one scene where, and at that point I started laughing and I could not stop laughing through the movie. Kate Winslet, also in full 90s makeup with like lip liner and shit, is like walking down the deck with Victor Garber,
she brings up the boats. Yeah.
She brings it up and she's like, I noticed from the amount of people on the boat and the amount of lifeboats that you said we had, there's going to be a problem. And he's like, well, then it's good it didn't sink. Don't worry about it. Wink. And I'm like, oh my God, no.
He literally says, the Titanic is all the lifeboat you need. Insinuating that, like, we're never going to be able to sink. You're fine.
I was just like, what? Can I tell you the one actual fun fact I know that makes this movie unwatchable? Because they do get so much right about what happened. They did their research.
Yeah.
But there was one thing they couldn't get around for their story. And they just choose to ignore it until it's useful information.
Which is what?
The temperature of the water. So you have 8 to 9 minutes to survive in the water at that temperature before you either immediately die, usually seize or whatever, or you need drastic emergency medical intervention.
Right.
8 to 9 minutes. But that's if you go in the water warm and dry. They're in the water for the last half an hour of the movie. Now, granted, yes, it is water that is now inside the boat, so maybe they have another minute or two.
It's not drastically
but it's not that
warmer.
much warmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that much warmer. And it's not even just being in the water at that temperature. If you have wet clothes on you at that temperature and you're like outside in the cold, you will die of hypothermia. They should be dying hanging off the side of the boat before they ever go in the ocean. Like, they should be dead 20 minutes before the end of this movie. And they're not until they get out into open water. And then she would have died on that door. There is no way she lives. No, like, he obviously dies. Neither of them would live because it even takes them a couple minutes to get to that door, right? So it's like 8 to 9 minutes and then you're out of the water wrapped in a blanket or you are dead.
Right.
So the fact that she's like on that door and then they're like, find her. And they did find a couple people that way, but like it was rare, it was tough, and those people did not live long. And so the idea that she lives at all in this movie is bonkers.
She lives to 101 and then dies in the same spot everybody else died.
Right. Goes back to that place, which I kind of love for her, full circle. The fact that they even made it to the water is crazy to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so fun fact, if you are in the North Atlantic, you have less than 10 minutes to be exposed to water that cold before it will kill you.
I mean, they literally hit the biggest piece of ice in God's cocktail, the Atlantic Ocean. Like, yeah, it's gonna be cold. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, and when you've got icebergs too, there's also like ice on the surface a little bit as well, just in patches.
Yeah.
So like
it's ice. Yeah. There's a polar bear riding by. He was drinking a Coke.
Right.
Like, yeah, you saw it in the movie.
Oh yeah.
I did think the movie was, because I haven't watched this since, like, literally I saw it in theaters forever ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when was the last time you watched this?
I don't think I've seen it outside of theaters.
I kind of want to know your historical fixation eventually, because I know every ADHD person has one.
I don't know that I have one specific one.
A couple is fine.
I'll be honest with you. Before you joined the call, I was watching a YouTube video entitled "The History of England: the Normans Struggle for the Crown." So, like, yeah,
right.
I definitely am a history nerd for sure. But yeah, I haven't seen this movie since the theaters, and I did not remember that this movie is essentially about a diamond heist.
Right.
Who the main guy of, like, releases some lady's nudes to get like information about the Titanic. I was like, damn, that's like cold-blooded, Bill Paxton. I'm glad the Predator and Alien killed you. Like,
no.
Just gonna drop Rose's nudes on the news?
Well, and I like that Rose was like, yeah, that's me. What?
You're 101. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I looked damn good.
I honestly think we needed a bookend where Bill Paxton draws a picture of her naked
Draws
with
her
that,
again.
and then they just throw her off the back.
There you go.
Although watching the movie, it really made me because I remembered the end, obviously, because, you know, history.
Right.
But like the way that like Jack or Leo dies is like always very funny to me, because she literally says never let go.
Yeah.
And then like lets go immediately, which
Correct.
she was dead. I don't blame her, but it's just like really silly dialogue for that to be happening or whatever.
Yeah, there are multiple times. The movie thinks the dialogue it has is fucking incredible, and it's not.
Right.
The dialogue in this is not good. Like, it is a point that they really needed to improve.
I agree. Although I do kind of wonder, like, do you think watching it, it was the first time you saw it. I think watching it in hindsight, I was like, I think he kind of chooses to die a little bit. And I think it may be
100%.
because he realizes that Rose was a spitter.
Oh, no.
Dude, I forgot she spit in Billy Zane's face at the end.
Yeah.
And I was like, hell yeah.
I bet he liked it.
He probably literally asked his wife to do that every night, you know, like when he got back to the real world.
Right.
Until he killed himself in 1929.
Love that that's his ending, and I do feel like it's very fitting for his character.
Yes.
I think Leonardo DiCaprio resigned himself to die when he puts her on the lifeboat.
Oh, yeah, I think so too.
And is like, my goal for the rest of the movie is make sure she doesn't die. And he only stays alive long enough to facilitate that. And I think that was his plan all along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I really do. Like, I think he knew Billy Zane was lying about the, like, I'll get him out too. Because Billy Zane is, like, laughably evil. Most of the rich people are laughably evil. It's actually a weird dichotomy. It's like a split because, like, the new money rich people are, like, fine.
Sure.
But then you'll also have, like, Rose's mom, Ruth, who, like,
worst movie mom ever. She is rough.
She's terrible.
Her and Angelica Houston from Ever After should go hang out.
Yes. I mean, she's the kind of monster that says shit like, I detest lavender.
Yeah, I detest lavender.
Like, someone has an opinion that strong about a color, you're probably a bad person. Like, I can understand I don't love light purples.
Sure.
But, like, detest lavender? Get the fuck out of my boat.
I love lavender. That's why she was immediately a villain to me. But I have some, sympathy is not the right word. I have some understanding of the social situation her mom finds herself in. And I also think that for as much as Kate Winslet is like, I don't care about the money. And it's like, yeah, bitch, but like once you have to live without it, which you have never had to do, I think you might have a different way of thinking about this. I'm not saying you can't get over it, but like, you are decrying a thing that you do not understand.
I agree, but I do think the movie shows that Rose actually would have been fine with that life.
She gets over it.
Yeah, because she had she was an actress. She did a bunch of shit.
She flew a plane. She rode a horse.
Yeah, she like Amelia Earhart that bitch. It was like early flight. It was real early flight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff like that where I'm like, it's 1912. And then I would Google whether they had a thing in 1912. And usually Google was like, kinda, but it was rare.
I mean, they definitely had planes around that time. It was super early on, though, right? It wasn't first flight like in the 19-aught earlies, something like that?
1917, I thought. I could be wrong.
I don't know.
And here's the thing. That is supposed to be an older picture of her. So maybe she's 40 when that's happening. Who knows?
Yeah, no, I thought she was older, too, obviously, because I don't think she had that photo on the Titanic.
Right.
But like, she definitely, I thought when they show that like line of photos that like,
hilarious.
I was like, oh, that bitch sold that diamond. Like, and she lived,
right?
You know, because it's like
for sure.
her like riding a horse on the beach and then like doing all the things she would have done with Jack.
Right.
And I'm sure she's just doing them with the man she married and had children with.
That we never meet or hear about.
And at the end of this movie, she gives a huge effing middle finger to by spending her ever after with the guy she boned down for a day.
Oh my God.
I was like, you watching this now, but like being old watching this, I'd be pissed if Natalie spent her eternity with some dude she slept with for a day and not me.
10 years ago.
you know? Yeah.
When the Titanic was heaven, I lost my fucking mind and cackled out loud. But like, that reminded me of actually the biggest problem in this movie that I can't believe I forgot to mention. Do you remember when we did Grease 2 and there were photos at the end in the yearbook of motorcycle heaven and we're like, that's impossible.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's actually a hallucination that Michelle Pfeiffer has that no one else sees and there's definitely not pictures of. So the conceit of this movie is that Rose is telling the story.
Yes.
However, there are multiple scenes that Rose is telling that she was not present for and would have no way to know about.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we see, especially during like the boat sinking phase of this movie, there's tons of stuff that she would not have known about. I mean, she may have like read about later on.
Maybe.
Because a lot was like written about it. But yeah, like there's no way we'd get a firsthand account of like what the string players were playing and talking about and all that shit.
And what the captain is doing and the people dying down below.
Well, I mean, the captain did die with the ship. I thought like that kind of stuff.
She would know that maybe, but like, here's the one that like, the more I thought about it, the more I wrecked my brain. There's a whole secondary plot of Billy Zane getting the gun, planting the necklace, that he and his like valet are planning that she would never know about because no one would know about it except Billy Zane and that guy. But she is then somehow telling that part of the story when she never speaks to Billy Zane again. She'd have no way to know this.
I love that this conceit where we're all hearing about this from her. And yeah, she could be an unreliable narrator.
100%.
Like Billy Zane might actually have been a really good dude.
He was actually a pretty nice guy.
Yeah, he was pretty chill. She just like hated him.
He always had sponges. Yeah, she just hated him.
No, I'm sure she's saying the truth about that because, rich.
Right.
Like, he's the kind of rich that, like, he always thought he'd be rich. So he's, like, generationally wealthy.
Right.
And so he never learned the skills that he would need in case he lost all that money. So in 1929, he kills himself,
Correct.
Like, that kind of made sense when you think about that level of wealth.
Right. But like I have a child, she would never know about that, right? She's already other part of the boat. Like, the stuff like that, I'm like, there's no way she knows. And the more I thought about it, the more it unraveled huge sections of the movie because you're like, she wasn't there for that. So she doesn't actually know. She might have heard this from Jack, so maybe she's telling his version. But then this other one, like, she wouldn't know that. She wasn't there. That person dies. She'd never hear that. And I was like, oh no, this is a screenwriting nightmare.
I also thought it was wild that she knew how loud that thunk was going to be when that dude bounced off the propeller.
Oh, yeah.
That Foley was hilarious. I did think it was really weird that, maybe not weird, because I've heard people do this before, but Jack takes Rose to the place he took Fabrizio on their date the first night they get on the ship.
Oh, I have thoughts about Fabrizio, and we will get to it in the episode.
I did think it was funny that they bookend their meet cute with their death cute, and I was like, oh, guys, come on, Cameron.
Call it back. But before we start the episode.
Okay.
Top 3 historical fixations for Paige. Anne Boleyn, Roanoke Colony, Ancient Egypt.
Just that's like 2 very specific points of history.
Right.
And then like such a wide gap with ancient
Correct.
Egypt. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you get it.
I kind of do. But like Roanoke's easy. Roanoke was just like a bunch of people who were like, oh, the people who already live here do it way better than we do.
Yes,
so we're just going to do what they
100%.
do and join them.
Yeah. I think my fascination with Roanoke is the potential for spookiness, not what actually happened, right? Because what actually happened is they definitely just joined the local tribes, and that's how they survived.
What actually happened was like, man, the natives here are thick and are always like just fine. They seem fine.
They have food. They're not spindly and starving.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like maybe we'll just go with them.
We'll leave a message that no one will decipher for years.
Yeah.
But as a child, when I did not know the back part of like, they survived, it's fine. I was fascinated with like, what happened to them? So it then became a historical fixation for Paige.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Anyway, do we want to go through the scene by scene?
Yes, we absolutely do. It's 3 hours long.
Yeah. It's not going to take that long to talk about. But I will pause occasionally to just do so people get the vibe.
Yeah, I'll just get my synthesizer out.
There you go. So we open on what looks like old footage. It's not. It's new footage in sepia tone. And then the first hint of our Heart Will Go On score.
Yeah.
Now, we then do get like underwater, and they look like Ocean Gate.
Except they're not driven by a Xbox controller, but yeah.
Jake was watching this part of the movie with me, and I was like, what if one of them just like pulled up a PS2 controller? Yeah, and it's baffling. They're underwater. Part of the reason this movie is 3 hours is just shots linger.
Yeah.
Like, yes, we watch the boat sink in real time, an hour and 20 minutes, but also leading up to that, they just linger on shit that they're just going to briefly show us later in the movie because, again, I think James Cameron wants to fuck this boat. So we're seeing like the hull, the piano, the safe, the clock.
Yeah, we're just seeing like the 84 years of water damage, more or less.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Having done Titanic research, they do a very good job of recreating things that were actually on the Titanic very close to the way they looked on the Titanic. They absolutely did that. The set deck on this, 10 out of 10. And I think the deeper you get into like Titanic lore, if you want to think of it that way, the more you will find out weird shit that was on the Titanic, because like when it took off, people were like, it's the boat of a century. And so they were like, send a car across. So
they had sex in that car.
They do have sex in that car. That car was on the Titanic. But at one point, when he like pulls her away from her family for them to go have their like last day, basically, he pulls her into what would have been the gymnasium, which had like state-of-the-art exercise machines at the time.
I saw that. Yeah. I even mentioned, I was like, is that the gym?
It is the gym.
Yeah.
And like, they literally only see it for a second, but the gym has like a whole bunch of weird fun facts of like what was in there and why, which is really kind of fascinating. We're not going to get into it all today. Deep dive on your own. This didn't take long enough.
Maybe deep dive isn't the right word for Titanic.
It's the necessary word, Todd. And you know what? If water comes through here, it's going to be sayonara in 2 microseconds.
Or yeah, it is 2 microseconds, which I don't think that's a thing, right? Wouldn't it be milliseconds?
Yeah, I think so. And from Ocean Gate, oddly enough, historical fascination for Paige. Titanic, no. Ocean Gate, yes.
Microseconds are a thing.
Yeah, okay, great.
I just looked it up, yeah.
And I mean, they were compressed into basically pink mist before they could even think about it. So, I mean, like, it is a horrible way to die. They didn't feel anything for long. It was insta-death, essentially.
In 2 microseconds, apparently, yeah.
2 microseconds. And they're 2.5 miles down. Now, while watching this with my husband, he reminded me that this movie was being made right around the time that James Cameron was potentially getting divorced from Catherine Bigelow. And so I think what we truly have here is that James Cameron got divorced and his hyperfixation to deal with his divorce became, air quotes, the sea. And then we have suffered from that ever since.
Well, I think it may be actually like, by the way, he got divorced from Linda Hamilton in 1999.
Oh, it's Linda Hamilton, not Catherine Bigelow. Okay,
Catherine Bigelow was 91. I just looked up his 5 divorces.
When did he marry Linda Hamilton? I guess is a better question.
Linda Hamilton was 97.
Okay.
They were married for 2 years.
So this was the divorce from Catherine Bigelow before he then married Linda Hamilton when this movie came out.
Yeah, you're right. So this is the depressive phase post-Catherine Bigelow divorce.
Pre-Linda Hamilton.
I mean, it made him a shitload of money, so like...
Or wait, is it Catherine Bigelow, Linda Hamilton, or is it Gail Ann Hurd, Linda Hamilton, Catherine Bigelow?
No, Gail Ann Hurd was first. Gail Ann Hurd... We're getting too deep on this. But Gail Ann Hurd...
Nope, we're not. Go for it.
They married in 85, got divorced in 89. Catherine Bigelow and him also married in 89. So read into that what you will. They were together for 3 years, lasted till 91.
Okay.
And then it sounds like that was just like a long run of, you know, Cameron just at his like most toxic.
Yeah.
Maybe. And that he did take 5 years off of marriage and after 91 to hyperfixate on Titanic and write this movie and make this movie and then married Linda Hamilton.
And make T2.
Yes, and reconnected with Linda Hamilton and married her in 97.
Nice.
Yeah.
Catherine Bigelow, what did you do to this? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I'm sure it was her.
I don't think it was her. I don't think it was her at all. I think James Cameron is probably a very difficult man to be married to because in his heart, he's married to the sea. Like a pirate.
I think it's specifically Titanic. Like, I think he's a little obsessed with Titanic. Right. Yeah. I know he's like been down a bunch and yeah.
He's been down a bunch and like, I don't think it started with him making this movie. I think he was already going down and was like, how do I write this off for taxes?
100%. That's got to be what it is. Yeah.
Gotta be. But he's like developed like technology for going down easier.
He had to after Catherine Bigelow left him.
Oh, anyway, we're watching Proto Ocean Gate.
Gonna laugh like Billy Zane the whole movie.
I have a child. But we go through the wreck of the Titanic. They find a safe. They bring the safe up. They open it up. And there's just a bunch of paper inside that would definitely have been destroyed. The idea that her drawing survived is nonsense.
Oh, you don't think the loose leather like folder it was in would have protected it in seawater for 84 years? Of course not.
Yeah, no.
It would have been destroyed a long time ago.
A long time ago. Also, 84 years, that means Rose was 17.
Yes, and they say it in the movie. They say both of them in the movie that she's 17 on the ship and she's 101.
Yep.
And man, yeah, that's old. Like the fact that they move her by helicopter or at all in this movie, I was like, ugh.
She probably had to send a million releases that's like, if I die surrounded by pictures of my accomplishment after dropping the one thing you're looking for back into the ocean, I certify that I will not sue you.
Right?
Anyway, we cut to, they put her titties on the news.
They do.
And then she's like throwing pottery in her home with her granddaughter. And it's just like, hey, those are my titties.
Yeah.
Beep, boop, beep. Hello, submarine.
I do love that she has the phone number for the boat they're on.
I have to imagine that she called the news, who called whoever their coordinator is.
100%. We just don't see any of that, we
don't see any of it. We see her literally pick up the phone and be like, hello, boat.
Yes. It's insane.
It's crazy.
It's like, hey, Cameron, can you get Paxton on the phone for me?
Oh, would if I could.
Oh, I know, right?
Miss him. Anyway, they're like, well, yeah, let's talk to her. They're like, she's a liar because she'd have to be like over 100. Like, we had already gotten to the point where we assumed we'd be talking to somebody's children.
Yes.
Not a person that was actually there, because obviously they'd be super old. Fucking McCready! Yeah, I hear you. Not right now. Please stop.
McCready!
The universe does not want us to record Titanic. Maybe God didn't want me to see it. I've angered God.
And he's been drinking his Atlantic cocktail this whole time.
Anyway.
He's so drunk.
They show up at the boat. She brought her fish and her photos because I'm absolutely sure that she's like, I'm going to die out there. You're going to take me back to where the boat was, and I'm going to die in the ocean. And then not in the ocean, but
She knows how ghosts work. She knows if she wants to spend the rest of her afterlife with Leo, she's got to die in proximity to where Leo died. That's just ghost math, guys.
Yeah. She's like, I'll find him. He's somewhere out in these waves.
She brought everything with her that started with an F.
Yeah.
Folders, files, fish, photos, all of them.
She brought everything.
I know photos doesn't start with an F. Chet, calm down.
Whatever. Maybe it used to. I don't think it did. I think it's always been PH. Anyway.
Who knows?
They're like, the reason they take her call, the reason they let her come on the boat, because she was like, beep, boop, beep, boat. I hear you're looking for a diamond. And they're like, no one knows about the diamond. And I'm like, if you know about the diamond, definitely other people know about the diamond, but fine.
But what you don't know is Bill Paxton's dad is involved in a conspiracy. Well, was, but he doesn't believe it. But his granddad does. And it got passed down through not necessarily presidents, but the secretary of the president, the administrative assistant, got handed it off to, and his name was Gates. And so Bill Paxton is in the Gates family. And what we're watching is Nick Cage's cousin from National Treasure literally put an old lady's tits on the news.
Yeah.
That's what we're watching.
I found this drawing on the back of the Declaration of Independence.
And it's just Rose. Oh my God. Yes. Paige. I need someone to just cut this together. So it's them with the lemons trying to make the thing on the side. Yes. Yes. And it's just revealing nips.
Yeah. However, what we find out in these moments about this necklace is that it was owned by Louis XIV and then removed after he was beheaded. So he was wearing it when he died.
Honestly, hell yeah.
Yada, yada, yada. Billy Zane has it.
Yeah, love it. That's how rich Billy Zane is. Billy Zane's the kind of rich that he doesn't see Leonardo DiCaprio as a romantic rival. That's how rich he is.
I did, as I turned this movie on, be like, how old is this movie? Over 25 years. Well, looks like Leo's not going to be dating it anytime soon.
Yeah, I hear he doesn't watch it anymore.
Yeah, he can't. It's not interested. Anyway, oh my God, that's crazy that most of his girlfriends are younger than a movie that he did not even at the beginning of his career. Upsetting.
Yeah, this is like when he was already famous.
Yeah, exactly. Oof.
Yeah.
Anyway, but she's like, I remember that necklace. It was heavy and I didn't like wearing it. I only wore it once for that titty drawing. And they're like, well, someone made an insurance claim that was settled privately for that necklace after. So we assume it went down with the ship. And the fact that this old lady isn't like, nope, got it right here is crazy to me. Like, what do you want for it?
You don't think Bill Paxton would have searched her things?
Right.
Just like on the off chance?
While they were even setting it up. Like, you don't think she handed a coat to somebody and they were just like, what's in it? Oh, Jesus. Like,
why is it still in the coat? It's been 84 years. The moths have it.
The idea that she still has the coat is crazy.
Well, I don't think it's...
And she doesn't. It's in her pajamas.
Yeah, it's not in her coat. I'm just saying, like, in the bit, you placed it in the coat. Like, there's no way that coat still exists.
No. And, like, it's heavy. You would feel that in any article of clothing that you had.
Yeah, you would.
Which, I know that Bill Paxton's character doesn't want to hear, hey, I've had it this whole time. You've spent all this money on searching for it. It's not down there. It's up here. Fine. But I would have made the phone call of like, how much do you want for it? Like, what are you going to pay me for it? I have it. You want to discover it? Let's make a deal. But no, she's like, I've got to go back to the place and talk about that time I got gushed on a boat. Like, you must hear my story, sir.
She makes them sit through her death rattle of a story and then dumps it off the boat and then dies on their boat.
Yeah.
Like, worst cruise ever.
The only thing worse is if it had been like the poop cruise where the like bathroom stopped working and, you know, whatever. Anyway, she's like, yeah, no, I was on the, you know, Titanic and I'll tell you all about it. And they're like, first, let us show you a diagram of the most traumatic day of your life. So the boat broke in half here and then the back, and she's like, cool, thanks for that. But the experience was very different.
I do love the way he tells the story because it's all facts, but he's a lot of charisma too. I don't even know who this actor is.
No idea.
But he's talking about how like the ship, the front of it went under and then went like straight like perpendicular or whatever and then like fell in, but that caused the back of it to go straight up in the air, and he's like, that's like 20 or 30,000 tons. That's a big ass.
Yeah.
Like he's just like saying this to a 101-year-old woman who was there.
He's the Philip Seymour Hoffman character if this was Twister.
Yeah.
Right?
Another Bill Paxton movie.
Another Bill Paxton movie that I love, and I would watch Twister 50 million times again before I watch this again.
Yeah.
Because Twister is 90 minutes of greatness. But I think this is the point in Philip Seymour Hoffman's career where he had gotten too famous for a bit part like this.
Probably, yeah.
Possibly.
He was pretty famous around this time.
Maybe he was busy filming Boogie Nights or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's been 84 years. They called it the Ship of Dreams. And you're like, all right. And we go through embarkation day. So basically the day that everyone is putting their stuff on, we see that car that I believe is like, it was like a custom Model T. It's a one of one, and it's at the bottom of the ocean. And they did claim an insurance claim for it on the other side. A lot of the cool, crazy stuff, and there is art and jewelry and a bunch of stuff lost in the boat. They do make insurance claims for on the other side. Not a lot of them are paid. If you want to dig into a real rough historical fixation on the Titanic, look at what happened after the Titanic and how badly the company that made and owned the Titanic fucked over the people that survived the Titanic because...
Really?
Oh, boy.
I can't believe a company would screw over survivors of the tragedy they caused.
I mean, but it's like there's two different experiences because it was women and children, some people from steerage do survive and some people from the upper classes survive. And the people from upper classes, they can't afford to disappoint them. So those people have insurance. They have private insurance. They take people to court. They get not all of their money back, but a lot of it back. But the people who were in steerage basically got one of those things where it's a class action suit and everyone gets $6.
Yeah.
It's more than that, but it's not a lot for both their trauma and all of their families that died. It's real fucked up.
Yeah, and if you're wondering how much $6 from 1912 would be today, sorry.
It's still not enough.
It's definitely not enough.
Definitely not enough. But we see them like loading everything on, and Kate Winslet, this is absolutely a James Cameron, I need to get this fun fact in, where she's like, I don't think it looks very different from the Mauritania. And Billy Zane is like, it's at least 100 feet longer than the Mauritania. And I'm like, no, what? First of all, no. Like, I guess maybe you could argue that Billy Zane treats the Titanic like a Tesla truck, like a Cybertruck.
Right.
Where he's just like, it's got panels or whatever, where he seems to just be like a gadget guy who's into anything new and rich. But the idea that Kate Winslet has like a secret boat fascination is bonkers to me.
Well, I think they're showing that she doesn't care. She's just like, well, whatever. I guess it's a big boat. Cool. But Billy Zane's like, well, actually, it's about 100 feet longer than that boat.
But later, when she has conversations with Victor Garber, who designed and built the boat, she's like, so tell me about the lifeboats. And you're just like, why would she care? Unless she's like extra scared. But like, we don't really give her much characterization outside of disliking Billy Zane and being kind of bored and upset with what her life will be once she gets married.
Yeah.
Those are valid emotions, but that's all we have given her.
Yeah.
As far as interests or anything.
Yeah, it's like Romeo and Juliet. This is just Romeo and Juliet at sea, and she survives. It's West Side Story at sea because she survives.
It's West Side Story at sea.
Yeah.
And boy, would I have preferred to watch West Side Story.
Oh, Russ Tamblyn, any day. Come on.
Any day. Anyway, their luggage gets loaded onto the ship. They get to their stateroom. We see some of it. She's fancy. He's not. We cut to Leonardo DiCaprio playing poker. And I do want to do a time check because Leonardo DiCaprio is the lead of this film.
Yeah.
Do you know how long it has taken us on screen to see him?
Oh, probably 25 minutes.
That's correct.
Yeah. It's late.
The length of a first act in any other movie.
Paige, I don't even know that there are 3 acts to this. It's kind of just 2.
Yeah, it's
and
kind
they're
of just
both
2.
very long.
They're both very long. And the boat doesn't even take off till almost 40 minutes into this movie,
right?
By the way.
Yeah. Well, because we got to set both of them up. And she is like, I think I text you some of these lines, but like she is rich and like a prisoner of her like family's expectations of her, and he is poor and just like hustling his way around the world, more or less.
Yes.
That's like like the vibe they're setting up for the first 40 minutes of the movie. They don't meet for like 45 minutes of the movie.
For 45 minutes of the movie, they haven't met. It's actually longer than that. It's almost an hour before they meet. But
Jesus, yeah.
Yeah, it's inexcusable. But part of the reason it takes so long, because again, we're 25 minutes in now and we're just meeting Leonardo DiCaprio. So it's not even that they're spending all that time setting that up. It's that we had to look at the underwater shit for so fucking long.
Yeah.
And listen to 84 years for so fucking long.
Yeah.
Could have done that in 5 minutes.
James Cameron couldn't cut most of those scenes because the lady he married in the year 2000 plays the granddaughter of Rose. So like he couldn't cut her scenes out.
Oh, buddy. Oh my God.
You want to marry Kirk Cameron, get cast in one of his movies.
No, don't marry Kirk Cameron. And definitely don't marry James Cameron.
Sorry,
but definitely don't marry Kirk Cameron.
Yeah.
Anyone with the last name Cameron, maybe
just avoid.
Double check.
I'm sorry. Are you of the Hollywood Camerons? Okay, you're not good. You're fine then.
No, thank you. He's gambling and they're playing poker to win tickets. And it's him and his friend Fabrizio who will be in all of 3 scenes of this film and be the most offensive Italian stereotype that has been in a movie since movies, I think.
Peter, what are you talking about? How can he be offensive? That's exactly what he's talking like the whole time. It's pretty crazy.
Why do you not like my boat?
It's pretty crazy. Yeah.
And hey, I am offended because, look, as an Italian American, most of our Italian ancestors came over on boats, and I'm really offended that this is how they chose to portray it because, like my great-great-grandfather, They didn't have tickets.
Paige, I get it. Your culture is not our costume. I get it.
Thank you. My great-great-grandfather was a stowaway on a boat. That was a thing. I think many people were. Don't know how they got around people being like, hey, you sound like walking pasta. What's that about? How'd you get in here?
You sound really fusilli.
Oh, being a little fusilli.
Yeah.
I can't go over the side. It's pretty far-falling.
Also, Fabrizio gets crushed by one of the smokestack things. It's like real sad.
After being a fucking hero.
Yeah.
They just hate to see an Italian succeed.
Exactly.
I'd like to also bring up 1912. Italians not considered white at the time.
No, they weren't at the time. Yeah.
When my great-great-grandfather came over, he was not considered white. They did not have a super easy time even in San Francisco when they got to San Francisco.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So, yeah. Oh, if anyone wants to write a ghost story, for Italian people buried in San Francisco before a certain point, there was an Italians only cemetery. So like when we went and did our ancestry stuff to go we found my great-great-grandmother's grave that had originally been in the Italians only cemetery in San Francisco.
Okay.
But then they just like moved the stones to a different place.
I'm sorry. So where are the Paige? Poltergeist? What is happening?
Hey, San Francisco, if you're trying to put a swimming pool anywhere, might I not recommend
right?
the Italian cemetery? Yeah, there you go.
I hate it.
But yeah, so Fabrizio's here representing us.
Yes, he is. And he does, I guess he's like
he's a good dude.
Jack's partner in this like poker game or whatever.
Yeah, in the poker game, yes, that he immediately abandons once he gets on the ship because they do win the tickets of the poker game, leaving Sven and his other friend there, which is hilarious once they then get on the boat because then they run and they're like, oh yeah, we definitely went through the lice inspection. They did not. They definitely have lice. And they got on the boat. They get to the cabin and it's like Sven's other two friends were like, where's Sven?
Yeah, they keep talking in Swedish about like, ooh, these guys.
Hilarious.
I did think it was funny because like as they're walking on the boat, they're like, we're the luckiest people alive. And I'm just thinking, dead man walking.
Dead man walking.
Because they're like definitely gonna die. Like they're on the Titanic in third class.
One of the only scenes Fabrizio is in is this one where he's running across the dock being like, I am going to America. Yep. You're just like, really? This is what you gave us?
You're going to get close-ish. Yeah.
I'm going home. I am going to America. And anyway, they get on board and he's like, we're the luckiest sons of bitches. No.
And largely because they were in third class and they were men.
Yes.
Like just the whole women and children first thing was a thing. Like it is a thing,
yes.
Especially with this one.
It is a thing.
So like even a lot of the first class men died because of that, because it was very women and children first. And they were like,
yes,
save them, I'll stay, you know?
Well, and it depended on who you were in first class because some dudes muscle their way on before the women and children thing happens. Like,
well, they had a child. Did you not see that handsome man?
I have a child. And then there were some first class people who like Guggenheim in the movie.
He's actually, whenever they say someone's full name, you're like, oh, that was someone
who died.
Historical. Who died for sure.
Which, Guggenheim and the Astors as well, I believe, die. And literally were just like, it's going down. I'm yelling timber. And just like went down with the boat and didn't even like try. Which honestly, like the old couple, I was like, yeah. At a certain point, do I want to survive this?
As much as I hate like rich people, I was like, man, Guggenheim's kind of a badass. Like we see him ask for a brandy. He's like, no, listen, we're going to die. Our wives are on the boat, on the boats or whatever. We're going to stay. We're going to chill on the Titanic as it goes down. Will you bring me a brandy? And then they show as the water's coming towards him. He's sitting. I mean, he does look scared and shocked, but he's sitting there with the brandy. Like he knew this was coming. I was like, God, that's kind of badass. It would suck, but it's kind of badass.
I mean, it's badass until you think about the fact that somebody who worked on the Titanic had to bring him the brandy.
Yeah, I know. You try not to think about that person died too.
Almost all the workers died. Yeah. Like they all died. Yeah. But I mean, the people who worked on the Titanic, a ton of them saved people.
Yeah.
But most of them died.
Yeah.
And even just like, stewards were, put the passengers before themselves. And so almost all of the people who worked on the boat died, which is very, very sad.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we then go to her stateroom and we see a lot of the stuff we saw underwater, the like, piano, the fireplace, the paintings. She's got multiple Picassos and one of Degas' ballerinas and a Monet. And I do think it's wild that like Billy Zane is like, Picasso never amount to a thing. Walks out of the room.
He does like the Sesame Street laugh after he says that.
Yeah. They meet Molly Brown, the unsinkable Molly Brown, played by Kathy Bates, who I do enjoy always. And I like her in this movie as well.
Me too. She's amazing in this.
Fucking love Kathy Bates, man.
If the unsinkable Molly Brown was like this, I'd have liked her too. Like, she does seem like she is new money, so she is rich, but she's the one who like brings like Leo in and gets him like a tux or like makes sure he looks good. Like tries to give him a heads up on like the shitty world he's going to be living in for a night, I kind of love her for that.
I have no context as to whether or not that part is real.
Oh, yeah, me either. But if she was like that, I think I would have liked her.
But correct me if I'm wrong. The reason she's called the unsinkable Molly Brown is because she survived 2 boats sinking.
I think it was 2 boats. I think the Titanic was the second one, I think.
Yes, I'm looking it up right now.
Like, if it wasn't the second one, there would be no context for Rose to know who she was.
She did look like Kathy Bates. That's wild.
Share your screen.
So this is what she looks like.
Oh, damn. Yeah, she does look a little Kathy Bates-ish.
But like here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they did a really good job styling her. And honestly,
they nailed that.
Kathy Bates is amazing. So like you cast her and stuff, she may not look exactly the part for it, but she looks the part.
Right? Like that looks like Kathy Bates.
Yeah, the one with the photo of Molly Brown with the big ass hat.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
I'm just trying to find the other boat that she survived. And I do think Titanic was the second one, but I'm just going to verify. She was a survivor of the Titanic, which sank in 1912. She unsuccessfully urged the crew in Lifeboat 6 to return to look for survivors. Okay, so she was like that person.
Yeah, like that stuff was historically accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, this is more what it is. It's not that she was on 2 boats, although there is a Titanic passenger who also survived another sinking. I would have to look up who it is. It is not Molly Brown. But part of why she was called the unsinkable Molly Brown is A, she did try to get people to save other people. And then B, upon being rescued, she organized a committee with other first-class survivors to secure basic necessities for second and third-class survivors and informal counseling. But that's literally the only reason why anyone else got paid outside of the first-class survivors, basically.
Okay. Yeah, cool. I do think I'd like her.
Yeah. She seems like kind of a badass. And her husband died in like 22 and she inherited ass loads of money. So, and she continued to kind of be a philanthropist and work for women's suffrage and a whole bunch of stuff.
She has a library in Denver. I've been to it.
Yeah.
Like a personal library that you can kind of visit.
Yeah. Anyway, love her. And she looks like Kathy Bates. Good for her.
Yeah.
They start the ship. The ship takes off. It is almost an hour into the film, or it's like 40 minutes into the film. We get the very famous King of the World. We meet Mr. Ismay, who is one of the like benefactors and people who essentially had paid into the White Line to create the Titanic. That's the guy from Jumanji, who, if you listened to our Anaconda episode on Horror Virgin, is also in Anaconda. Yeah,
this is the second movie from 97 that we are doing back to back that this guy was in and on a boat for.
He's on a boat.
There are 2 movies that came out in 97 about terrible boat trips, and this dude's in both of them.
He's in both of them.
Yeah.
Bofa. Anyway, he's having a lunch with Rose, her mom, Billy Zane.
Kind of the rich people, the rich part of the cast. Yeah.
The richies. And she is talking about Freud and like, if you're obsessed with size, maybe Freud has something to say about that. And this is where Molly Brown's like, ha, you're pretty funny. I like the cut of your jib. And everyone else was like horrified. They're like, Rose, no, talking about penises, which also I think that she and Billy Zane do have a sexual relationship, even though they are not married, which is not as common, or at least not as public at the time. That would not be public because of that time where he says, you're my wife in practice, if not in law.
Yeah.
And I think her mom has let it happen in hopes that they will inherit that money. And it's kind of rough because it seems like Kate Winslet, not super into it.
Not super into it, no.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an asshole, but he does look like Billy Zane, so it's not 100% bad. But it seems like she's not into it because he's a terrible person.
And for birth control, they're using the sponge.
Oh.
Sorry, that's a Demon Knight Billy Zane joke.
I loved it, though.
Anyway, she leaves that dinner and runs, and she's clearly like running down the deck of the ship. She's definitely going to jump off. And Leonardo DiCaprio is laying out under the stars. And here's the thing. If not for how fucking cold it would be, I would just want to be under the stars on this ship. Like, that's where I'd be like willingly sleeping, because how cool is that? You're just like in the middle of the whatever.
It would be very cool.
Yeah. So she runs past and he gets up and he's like, hey, don't do it, because if you jump over, I'm going to have to go in after you, which, by the way, anyone who goes in after her would die. This is also why, like, when people fall off cruise ships, people don't typically go in after them. It is nearly impossible to rescue somebody from that.
Yeah, like there was that Disney cruise, right, where that girl fell in and her dad jumped in, and like they did get rescued, but they like
that was a whole thing.
More commonly, you die.
Yeah,
but like apparently they just like put out boats immediately, and like they just knew what to do. But they got it and they saved them.
And I think it's because they were in the Pacific, not the Atlantic.
And that's way warmer, right?
That makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
It is way warmer, but this is the thing with the Indianapolis. It is way warmer. You can survive much longer in that water. However, sharks.
Yeah.
But also leaky fuel, which then lit them on fire in the water.
What?
Read up on the Indianapolis.
Fire sharks?
Fire sharks. Fire sharks and the atomic bomb. The story of the Indianapolis.
We got the first 30 pages right here.
We got the first 30 pages right here. And I do remember, because we've talked for a long time about doing this movie. And in the Facebook group, I remember somebody saying, like, they should actually make a movie about the town where the Titanic was built. That'd be a way more interesting movie. I don't know that it would be, having studied that town for the episodes I wrote. But then at the same time, I can't throw stones from my glass house of being like, you should really make a movie about the place where they built the atomic bomb and then put it on the Indianapolis, because those people all got cancer. And so, you know what? Yeah, maybe that would be a great movie. I take it back. Maybe that would be interesting.
It's just like this, but both Jack and Rose die at 35 from cancer.
From inhaling things from the boatyard? Yeah, probably. Anyway, so he basically is like, hey, I'm from Wisconsin. You don't want to be in that cold water. Foreshadowing that they'll end up in that cold water off this same exact side of the boat.
He essentially is telling her how terrible his death will be, and honestly, her survival will be.
Right.
Because it's not like she doesn't go through it too.
Right. 1,000 knives. And here's the thing. As somebody who cold plunges, first of all, this water is like 10 to 15 degrees colder than cold plunge water.
I know. And I thought about that when they kept going in it. Like, Natalie loves a cold plunge. I love a cold plunge. It so much.
I absolutely love it.
I could not do it. I'd be like, good luck, hon.
Here's what's crazy. I love a cold plunge because I am mentally prepared for what it is, what I'm doing, and why. But if I just like go to a pool and it's too cold, hate it.
I get that.
If I'm not like, I am actively going to do this.
Yeah.
But I do think my cold plunge skills, and probably Natalie's too, we would have gotten through some of the boat survival part maybe a little bit better. But then, you know, if we didn't make it on a lifeboat, it's still toast.
Yeah, 100%. I'd have died so quick. And I would have been fully, I have a child.
I have a child. When that one guy shoots himself, I was like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I get it too. When you've realized that you've lived your whole life oppressing the same class you were born into, and you just can't live with the shame and guilt of being a true traitor to the group of people you were born into, I probably would have done that too. I get it. Yeah.
I did love when he throws the money back. He's like, it's not going to save you, just like it won't save me. Bam. And I was like, okay, I understand the fatalistic nature of what is happening. I would have probably still died trying to help people, because I'm like, look, if I'm going to die anyway, I might as well try and make sure other people don't if I can.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
But I did love that dude fully knows how to put a period on the end of a sentence.
Oh.
Like, your money won't save you and neither will I. And then he takes his own life. You're like, oh, damn. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty dire. Things are getting dire out here.
Yeah. Anyway, he does get her back over onto the side, or at least he tries to, but then she slips. She's hanging over the side. She screams. That alerts other people on the ship who come running.
Look who doesn't want to die all of a sudden.
I do think that's Rose's one emotional arc in this movie of going from life is not worth living, I am willing to die, I want to die, to I will do anything to live.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That is her arc.
That's why I think Billy Zane really sucks at sex. Because she had sex with Leo once and she was like, no.
She was like, I want to live.
Life is worth living, guys.
Life is worth living.
I'll float atop this cold plunge forever. Worth it.
Whew. Oh, man. I mean, yeah. I bet he eats.
He's poor, Paige. What's your theory?
That's true. He's poor. The theory is that poor people eat. Because they are concentrating on pleasing their partner. They don't just think that their money and access gives them automatic access to their partner.
Yep.
That's why poor people eat. Anyway, they are back on the deck and she looks kind of disheveled. He's from a different class. They're kind of tangled. And so they immediately assume that he was trying to hurt her or assault her.
I mean, they look down at her like ripped dress and they're like, oh, he was trying to like sexually assault this lady.
Yeah.
And she, I think, obviously in the moment is kind of frozen in fear of like, well, I don't want to say that I was trying to take my own life.
Right.
So like she doesn't speak up for him until like, you know, Billy Zane gets there and her like, I think family more or less is there. And then she eventually, and he's like in handcuffs, like Leo's in handcuffs more or less.
Yeah.
And then that's when she's like, no, I was looking over at the propeller and slipped. And Billy Zane's like, ha, 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 ha. Women are so dumb. Ha, 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 ha. He's just so stupid. It's so funny.
He saves her, right?
Right.
They agree that he saves her. He's not in trouble. And then they just go to leave. And it takes the boat people being like, do you want to like give him something? Because he like saved her life.
And Billy Zane's like, yeah, give him a $20 or whatever. Like, that's enough, right? And that's when she's like, $20 for my life? Like, that's laughably low because, and it kind of is, like $20 back in that time period would be like $350 today, maybe. Which ain't nothing, but that's not a lot if you're like rich as shit.
No. And here's what I would say. I think if I saw someone actively about to die and I could prevent it, which is what happens in this moment, I would do it regardless of money. Like,
oh, he doesn't do it for money. He turns down the money later.
Yeah, he doesn't do it for money.
Yeah.
Do I think that $300 is still a crazy low amount if you're trying? Now, here's the thing. You might not have money. Like, if you just saved another poor person, they might just be like, oh my God, thank you. And you're like, you're welcome.
Yeah, worth it.
Life debt. Name your kid after me or whatever.
Come on, Chewbacca.
But if you save a rich person and they don't like, oh my God, here's a Lamborghini. Like, that's crazy.
I'd be so pissed if someone bought me a Lamborghini. I gotta pay for the insurance on this. God, like this is terrible.
Inheritance tax is a bitch. Just gift me whatever the amount is with a gift note that doesn't require me to pay taxes on it.
Yes.
I forget what that amount is, but anyway. So they invite him to dinner the next night.
Right.
And the guy who helped rescue, he's like, hey, it's wild that she slipped over the side so quickly, but you had time to take off your jacket and shoes. Still implying that like, hey, maybe you were trying to assault her, or maybe you were having some sort of liaison and she's just not telling people, but like something is up.
I think it was just to allude that like I'm on to you, whatever it is, like non-specific kind of whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's Lovejoy, right? Lovejoy is just like a villain the whole time.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Lovejoy is Billy Zane's henchman.
Valet.
Yeah, valet, but henchman. Like,
yeah.
He's his evil like doer.
Right. But we cut to her cabin and Billy Zane gives her the heart of the ocean at this point. And he basically is like, there's nothing I couldn't or wouldn't give you, and I wish you'd open up to me, which I think means like, let's go bang, girl. Like, what?
I know, right?
But at this point, it's the end of Act fucking 1.
Right.
And it's an hour and 13 minutes into the film.
It's a long movie, guys. It's a long movie.
Unnecessary. Anyway, we cut to her and Jack talking on deck. And he's an orphan, and she basically is like, I know what you're thinking. I'm rich. I have everything. I have no way out. But like, I'm going back to America for my wedding. 500 invitations have gone out. and no one even looks up at me when I express an opinion on what I want that day to be.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I am furniture, essentially, in this world.
It would really suck. I mean, I understand, and she even acknowledges, like, I get that I'm super privileged,
right?
But this is a life I did not choose, and I don't want to choose it. And I feel like that's valid for a 17-year-old girl who's being sold by her mother because their dad left them nothing. Like, that is essentially the life she has. And so I get why it would suck, especially for someone who, like, doesn't mind, like, being poor and like living on their own and making their own money. Like, Rose seems very like...
I mean, I think she eventually gets there. I think she has no concept at this moment of what that is.
I don't think she has any concept of it during the entirety of this movie, at least in the past, because...
I think she is able to do it in the future.
Yeah, but I think she chooses it with Jack because she's like, I'm going to be with you, and she knows he's poor as shit. Like,
yeah.
And so, like, I think she got in that mindset and just, like, stuck to it.
Yeah. But... he does end up showing her his drawings of his French girls.
And she is into it. She's like, hang on, tell me more about this French prostitute you drew, because these are great.
Yeah, they're all right. I like the vibe of them. Some of the drawings are better than others. I think Madame Bijou is one of the more interesting people to draw, and that drawing is the least detailed. Although the sex worker drawings are fascinating and good as well.
You may have us in fun facts, but James Cameron drew all of that. Like, all of those are his drawings. He draws her. It's his hands in the movie that he draws Kate Winslet. And he said during an interview or something like that it was like one of the first things they shot. And so he didn't know her that well. So he was like, do you mind wearing like a bikini? And I'll just do the details. So like, yeah.
And I'll just imagine what your boobs look like.
Yeah. So like when he was actually drawing it for like them getting the shots of the hands, she's actually just wearing a bikini on that couch.
For comfort.
Which is probably way more appropriate because, you know, she I'm sure wasn't 17, but young.
She was definitely not 17. She was definitely of age.
Yeah.
But like, that's also a thing of sex scenes when filmed are often not really romantic because there's cameras all around and it's all of it. And so,
that's not sexy at all. Yeah.
It's not sexy at all. And so I think there's also the element of like, well, you know, how long do you actually need me naked for this?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, we cut to, and this is one of those scenes that Rose talks about that she is not in, that her mother is talking to the other socialites. And she's basically like, well, going to university for women is just to find a husband. And she already has a fiance. So why would I send Rose to university?
Right. She's already got that MRS degree. She don't need nothing else.
And they're like, or she'll end up like that vulgar brown woman. And by that, they mean Molly Brown.
Yeah.
And Molly Brown walks up and is just like, oh, tea, I'm glad I made it. And they're like, oh, you just missed it. We were just leaving. She's like, great, I'll go with you for gossip. And I was like, I love you, Kathy Bates.
She's the best.
Great.
Yeah.
But this is where they pass by Mr. Ismay talking with the captain. And he's like, so you haven't opened up the engine completely? Why don't you do that? We'll get to New York a day early and then we could have all the headlines about it. And he's like, I don't want to push this. I know you say it's unsinkable, but I have reservations. Now, they kind of talk about this a teeny tiny bit in the movie, but that captain had captained boats successfully for like 26 years.
I think they say 25 in the movie. I remember them saying something like that in the movie.
Yes.
Because he's retiring at the end of this trip.
This was his last voyage, right?
Yeah.
But he was one of the most experienced captains that they had. But the Titanic was so much bigger than anything anyone had ever sailed on that like he was making calls based on what he knew he could do on smaller ships and did not realize that the Titanic could not move as fast as essentially his smaller ships.
Yeah, they even said the rudder was like slow as shit because it wasn't big enough.
Right.
Yeah. So it took forever for it to turn.
Yep.
So he pretty much just like sets a missile when they're leaving Ireland.
Right.
And just hopes there isn't an iceberg in the path, especially when he like tells it to go full speed the whole time, more or less.
Right. But we cut back to Jack, who's like, I've been to Monterey and Santa Monica and like a million different places that I'm like, how old is he? It took time to travel. Like,
yeah,
some of this might be bullshit. But this is where he's like teaching her how to spit, which is really gross.
Yeah. But it comes back.
When he has to swallow that loogie. It does come back.
It is gross when he has to swallow that loogie. Yeah.
Ugh. But the socialite ladies pass by and they're like not approving, but he is supposed to go to dinner with them that night. So Molly Brown pulls him aside and is like, you don't know what you're walking into. Let me get you a suit. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Because he fits into her son's suit.
Yeah.
So he then goes down the stairs in the suit and he's like practicing talking to people. And she kind of like sees him practicing. Billy Zane and her mom walk right past him.
They don't even recognize him.
Don't even recognize him.
Yeah, because they don't see him as one of them, so they don't clock him as that guy.
No.
Because he's dressed in a tux. They just assume he's one of the other rich people they don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is one of the most egregious 90s makeup moments in the movie where she's got like full-on 90s lip liner on. It's bonkers. But she meets him at the bottom of the stairs and she takes him through along with Molly Brown and is like introducing him to people like, okay, this is this countess. This is John Jacob Astor. This is his new wife who is pregnant and trying to hide it. These are the Guggenheims. This is Duff Gordon. This is all of these people. And when they introduce him, he's like, oh, I'm Jack Dawson. They're like, of the Boston Dawsons?
He's like, no, the Chippewa Falls ones. And he's like, oh, yes, of course.
Yes, of course.
Like, that's a thing.
Oh, rich people pretend to know things all the time. And honestly, like, you can do it too.
I do it all the time for my job.
Yeah, of course.
It's great.
But they sit down at dinner and Rose's mom is not going to let some fucking poor sit at the table with them without people knowing about it. So she's like, how's the cabin in steerage? And he's like, oh, there's hardly any rats, or whatever. And this is where he has kind of a little bit of a mini monologue here of like, he is essentially homeless, right? He doesn't have a place to specifically go when the boat lands. He makes money drawing naked ladies.
Or just anything. Yeah. Just doing sketches of people.
He's a hustler, baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's his whole life. And because he doesn't want to essentially tie himself to a career or a place where he wouldn't be able to experience the whole of life. I would say there's definitely a happy medium to be found in there. But like, this is him being like, try it. Make it count.
Like, life is a gift. You got to make it count. That's the whole thing. And then a rich guy goes, "Hee which to me is so funny. I just love like 1920s rich like exclamations of joy. It's so silly.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now, at this point, all the men decide to go up and smoke and have brandy. They do invite Jack, but he turns it down. He's like, I got to get back to my part of the boat. But he passes Rose a note that says, meet at the clock.
Yeah.
So she does meet him at the clock, and he's like, there's a real party downstairs. Let's go.
Yeah, he's like, you want to go to a real party?
Yes. We will spend 20 minutes at this party. We learn no one's names. However, later in the movie, he will refer to these people by name as if we are aware of a rich backstory that we were never told in this film.
Literally, the only persons whose name we've already heard is the guy who gets shot,
Tom,
and Fabrizio.
Yeah,
and we heard all of Tom's name.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming Tom was a real life historical person.
Maybe.
Because we heard all of his name when he was introduced to us.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But they dance, she drinks, she goes on point, everything. But then the valet, Lovejoy, snuck down there and observed her. So the next morning, she's having breakfast with Billy Zane. And he's like, why didn't you come to bed last night? Because you're basically my fucking wife, right?
I mean, that's essentially what he says.
Right.
And then he like abuses her kind of. I mean, like.
He flips a table and scares her. Yes.
Yeah.
That's abusive behavior. Yes.
It's just, he doesn't like hit her, but it's very abusive. Yeah.
Look, hey, if people in your life are damaging your things or damaging furniture in fits of anger, that is a huge red flag.
Yeah. Because
that is demonstrating what they could do to you if there was no furniture, or maybe what they want to do to you.
Yeah.
With no furniture. So like, it's a huge red flag if people start flipping tables and shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think they include part of this moment where the maid is helping to clean everything up, and she's like apologizing to the maid. And I think they put that in there to be like, she kind of has more of an understanding now of like, the people who work around them are people. She is not like Billy Zane, who just flipped a table and walked away and didn't care who was going to clean it up.
Yeah.
Anyway, but her mom later comes in to help her get dressed, and she's lacing her corset. I did look up to see what kinds of corsets or stays people were wearing at the time. This is accurate. And this is where the mom is like, look, your dad died with bad debts and a good name. So if you get married, that saves us. And I don't have to work as a seamstress. You don't have to sell everything that we own at auction. And she's like, it's so unfair. And she's like, yes, but we're women. And at this point, there's still 2 hours left of this movie, which is unfathomable. But also, this is going to be a controversial take because Billy Zane is obviously a huge, terrible villain.
Right.
And her mom is a villain as well. Her mom is a bad person.
Yes.
That said, I fully understand why she is asking her to do this, even though her mom is a villain, right? Like, I don't think Kate Winslet should have to do this. It's not right. But this is also a time in history in which there were limits to what women could own or even do as jobs. And so not having the ability to own anything of your own or earn money on your own means if Kate Winslet doesn't get married, and the mom probably can't get married at her age to somebody who would have enough money, like, they will be destitute. They will be on the streets. That is a reality.
She says, do you want me to be a seamstress?
Yeah, seamstress.
Yeah.
Which was one of the only jobs women could have. And so, like, for as evil as her mom is and as evil as Billy Zane is, I'm like, her mom does have a point. Like, I'm just putting it out there. Like, I know he's evil. You shouldn't have to marry him. Maybe meet another rich guy on this boat or something. Or make sure he dies on the boat so you can somehow inherit it still.
They'd have to be married first.
Get married in the chapel.
Yeah.
Whatever. There's a chapel on the boat, right? Who knows? But, like, that is a very real thing at this time. Anyway, she's not supposed to see Jack, but he tries to go talk to her during church because there was church on the boat. And they're like, no, that guy got to go back below where he belongs.
Yeah.
Now, as that's happening, we do see one of the second or third mates, I would say, like the, assistant captain, if you want to, I don't know what that's called on a boat.
Me either, but yeah, that is who it is.
They came up to main captain and they're just like, hey, we did get an ice warning from this other boat. Just a heads up.
The USS Berg says, look out for ice.
It's the Nordham, but yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And he's like, whatever. We're big and fast. Just speed up. And they go walking on the deck. And this is where she goes like, so I remember what you said about the capacity of the lifeboats and and it's like, oh my God, really? Is Kate Winslet spouting weird Titanic facts now?
But the I forget his name, Victor or whatever.
It's Victor Garber.
Yeah,
it's
Victor Garber. Yeah, I think his name's Andrews or something.
Yes.
And he's the guy who like created the boat or like actually made the boat, like
designed the boat.
Yeah. So like he would know, but like it's weird that she would bring it up. And he does say like, we don't have enough lifeboats for more than half the people on this boat. But like, don't worry about it because like it's so big it'll never sink.
Let's talk about lifeboats now to make sense of what happens with lifeboats later. Yes, he is correct. There is a shocking lack of lifeboats. You would be astonished, frustrated, and maybe terrified to learn that a lot of boats don't have enough lifeboats.
That sucks. Yeah.
Most cruise ships don't have enough lifeboats.
Fun.
The amount of times on Ship Hits the Fan that when I was writing an episode, it would be like, why did so many people die? There were not enough lifeboats. So often.
Yeah.
But specifically for the Titanic, there were originally designs that would have doubled the amount of lifeboats.
They talk about that in the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. It still would not have been enough, right? But they would have doubled the lifeboats, but that deck they'd be walking on essentially wouldn't be really walkable. It would have kind of like removed a deck. So they chose not to do it so that they could still have this deck. However, that's not the only problem with the lifeboats. The mechanisms for lowering lifeboats has kind of malfunctioned, and we'll talk about it at the end, but that is actually a huge issue in boat accidents, is that even if you do have enough lifeboats, depending on how your boat crashes, might take some lifeboats out of rotation, but also B, if they can't successfully launch them, your lifeboats are useless. So there was like a boat that ended up on its side, which meant they couldn't launch any lifeboats. So you were just trapped on the fucking boat. Or if you climbed into the lifeboat, it was like 100-foot drop to the water, which would probably kill you.
Yeah.
So like, we'll talk about it more at the end, but I know. There's a reason Paige don't cruise much.
Yeah.
Yeah, studying a lot of shipwrecks. They'll put you off it. Anyway, Jack pulls her in through a window, and this is the gym. And we briefly get a view of the gym. It is almost shot for shot the gym that was on the boat. This is one of the rooms that we do have pictures of from the Titanic.
Yeah.
And they made it look almost exact. If you want a fun side quest, Google the exercise room on the Titanic. There was a bunch of stuff in there. It was kind of fun.
That's cool. Yeah.
Anyway, she's like, look, I'm marrying Cal. I need the money. I can't be with you. And he's like, I know how the world works and I have nothing to offer you, but you jump, I jump. I really like you. And she's just like, I can't, I gotta go.
Yeah.
But then she then goes and like sits down with the rich people again and sits there listening to things, just staring into the middle distance. And then it's just like, no, you know what? Yeah, no, I do pick Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, I would rather be poor than this, so I'm leaving.
Right.
Is the vibe. Yeah.
It is, I would say, too subtle of a beat for her to change her mind that quickly.
It is a life-changing decision, even if the boat doesn't sink.
Right.
So yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And the writing really does not support it. But she gets up and goes and meets him on the bow of the boat. And we do the I'm flying and she kisses. And then we cut to the sunken bow.
Yeah.
And then we're back in future time, 1997, where Bill Paxton, she's like, that was the last time Titanic saw daylight. And then Bill Paxton's like, 6 hours to go. The captain's got 26 years of experience, but he doesn't realize that the boat doesn't corner. Everything he knows is wrong. And you're like, no one would say that. Like, no one would talk like that.
I agree, but they also set him up in the first line of dialogue he has as
a Titanic expert.
Well, and also he's doing VO for his Titanic documentary that he himself is filming. He is kind of like the douche that might say those kinds of things.
Sure.
I did write in my notes, solid repipe, Bill Paxton.
Yeah, thanks, Bill Paxton, for giving us an idea of where everyone is.
And for a second, I was like, oh, God, there's 6 hours left of this movie?
Oh, my God. About.
I know.
I will say, of the characters in the movie who should be spouting Titanic facts, he is one of two that I would find acceptable. Or maybe three. The other would be Victor Garber's character.
Sure, yeah.
And then potentially Ismay, who is the man who kind of financed a lot of this.
The financier?
Right, the financier of the New York financiers.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway, we cut back to, old times. And they go back to her room where she's lucky no one walks in on them. But he's like, will this light do? And she's like, yes, I have a ton of pictures of me as a perfect little princess baby. That's what she saw, is the little girl being groomed to grow up and to be one of her, essentially.
Yes, yeah.
But she's like, I want you to paint me or to draw me wearing this. Draw me like one of your French girls wearing only this. And then thus the nude drawing.
Yeah.
And again, this is at the point at which, in all caps in my notes, it just says, is every song in this movie my heart will go on?
Yes, it is.
It is, and it's infuriating and so hard to sit through.
It really places this movie in time because it's so 90s, the synth and Celine Dion. It's very 90s.
Very 90s. But we cut back to the old lady. She's like, it's the most erotic thing I've ever done. And they're like, what happened next? She's like, you mean, did we do it? I was like, what are we doing here?
Sex.
Come on.
We're doing sex, Paige. That's what we're doing.
I know.
That's what she's talking about.
No, I know. But I'm like, the old lady would never say, did we do it? No, that's James Cameron being like, and then they did it.
Cut back to the old lady and she's like, I bounced on a crazy style.
Crazy style. I went full bug mode.
Billy Zane's in the cuck chair just like,
I have a child. Get them out of here. They shouldn't be watching this. Anyway, they finished the drawing. They put the necklace and the drawing back in the safe.
Yes.
But meanwhile, Billy Zane is like, hey, where's my fiance? And they're like, none of the stewards have seen her, which is crazy because the first place I would check is the cabin. Clearly.
Yeah, exactly. The first place I would check on a cruise ship is the huge ass room that you're in. If you were in steerage, I could see you hanging out elsewhere on the boat.
Right.
And it might be hard to find you. If you have I don't know, a 6-room apartment on the boat, I'd probably be chilling there most of the time.
Right.
So, and that's where she is. She's literally getting drawn nude right now in her room, sir.
In her room. Meanwhile, we get to see the guys, the lookouts up above that don't have binoculars. That was actually a real thing, is they didn't have enough binoculars to go around.
Yes.
Dumb, but sure. But they're like, it's such a flat calm. There's no wind. And this is the changing of the captains from first captain to second captain or whatever. And he's like, there's no wind. And then the second guy, Murdoch, is basically like, that'll make icebergs harder to see because water won't be pushing up against them at the base.
Yeah, the water won't be breaking at its base, which turns it white and you can just see it at a distance, you know?
Right. And he's like, well, maintain speed and heading, fine.
I do like that the main captain, who's like going to bed more or less, is like, yeah, you're right. It will make them harder to see. Well, don't slow down at all, you dumbass. I'm out of here. Have a good luck.
Nighty-night. Yeah.
Like, such an idiot.
Yes. Meanwhile, Lovejoy checks the cabin.
Yeah.
And they like door through door through door into the hallway.
We should say this. Kate Winslet gives the necklace to Leo and says, put this in the safe, but she does not see him do it. He does put it in the safe.
He does, yeah.
But that creates some like separation between them later. So that's important to know. But that's already happened.
Yes.
Lovejoy does like chase them out of the room and then like around the ship for a bit.
Yeah, until they get down to E deck and eventually get down into the like hold.
Like the engine room.
Yeah.
Like where the turbines are. And they're like running through and then they eventually get into storage.
Her dress would be fucking filthy.
Well, yeah, it's like coal down there. It's like tons of coal everywhere. Yeah.
Yes, but then they get into the hold, like storage.
Yeah.
And at this point, they're like in and around the car, and then we cut back to the like steamy handprint, which I was like, is it a sauna in there? And then at this point, I was like, that's it. This is literally a closed door romance. You see nothing.
Yeah, you don't see anything at all.
The fact that this was like, oh, there's sexual content in the movie and that's why you shouldn't take your children to see it when I was growing up is bonker.
But you got to remember, like, she is nude in the movie and it's still like PG-13, you know? Like,
you barely see her nude
I know,
at all.
I
You
know.
see like a flash of her boobs. You mostly just see the drawing, not her actually nude.
and it's not in sex. It's like just for art. I think that's how they got around the R rating for
I think
that,
so too,
honestly.
yeah.
But that's why they can't show you any sex because they're going to lose that PG-13 page. Here's what I think we should do.
Okay.
Shot for shot remake, full penetration.
Full penetration.
We show everything.
Show everything. But meanwhile, Billy Zane and the valet go to the cabin. This then starts the most egregious parts of the things that Rose does not know, cannot know,
Yes.
and are allegedly in her story.
Because she has a whole B plot that happens while she's getting dicked down in the Model T.
Right, because they go into the stateroom, they check the safe to make sure nothing has been stolen, and she left the necklace with a note that basically says, like, keep us both locked in your safe.
Yeah, the drawing was more or less a breakup gift for Billy Zane.
Yes, and they're like, motherfucker. So they then go after them. They send people after them. And of course, everyone who saw them run through was like, yeah, they're in there banging in the car. Like, everybody knows they're there. But they get the jump on them. They run. They make it up to the deck while everyone else is looking for them. And they're kissing. And then at this point, everyone who's supposed to be looking for icebergs is looking down at them kissing.
I know. Paige, this movie does imply that the Titanic sank because Rose couldn't keep her hands off Jack.
I was so angry. I was like, this is the dumbest thing ever. But then they look up just in time to see the iceberg, but they can't turn in time because the ship does not turn well or quickly.
I kind of love that they do show you like how long it would take to start turning the ship and have the propellers go the other way and like all of that, because it is like very analog. They've got a call from the lookout spot to the captain's tower, who then has to use that like weird crank thing to tell them to like reverse in the like engine room. And so they have to then start doing that.
Stop, reverse, different direction. Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. It took like 2 minutes.
It takes like 2 minutes, but also they almost do it.
Yeah.
They almost avoid that iceberg.
Yeah.
If they weren't watching Leo and Kate Winslet making out, maybe they wouldn't have died.
Literally everyone that dies in this movie, it is on Leo and her shoulders 100%.
Absolutely.
That's what we're saying.
They sideswipe the berg. The coal stuff is fucked up and flooding. And I'm sure most people, if you know anything about the Titanic, you know that there were like parts of the boat that they could lock off. And if they locked off a certain amount, the boat would still stay afloat. That's why they said it was unsinkable, because the idea of like, well, how could it be more than that? But because they hit that iceberg on the side, it does 5 instead of 4. And so they are going to sink.
Yeah, because it opens up in 5 different, like, of those, I don't know, panels or whatever, those like locked off areas that they could stay afloat.
Right.
Which like makes me wonder, like if they had just hit it head on, would they have been able to stay afloat?
I don't know. There have been a lot of questions about that because then maybe it would have only been one.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
And they would have had to then reverse and then, whatever.
I mean, they would have probably just stayed there until the Carpathia came and got them, like because they would have stayed afloat.
Right.
But I don't know that they would have had they just full steamed hit that. It made it way worse. I don't know.
I also think that yes, they had tested the 4-room lockout area, whatever thing in port, but I don't know that in practice it really would have kept them afloat.
Yeah, who knows?
So who knows?
It certainly didn't when it was in the 5th one, so sure.
Yeah, but down in steerage, Fabrizio is back. Oh no, there's water on the floor. And they go running. The engines stop. And then upstairs, now this is something that I did actually appreciate that the movie includes that was a very real thing, is that they didn't know the boat was going to sink immediately. And so they didn't activate boats immediately. Like they walked around to people being like, oh, it's no big deal. It's unsinkable. It's fine. Do you want a brandy? Like they continued dinner service and stuff like that for, or like dessert. I think it was dessert by the time they actually hit. But people were sitting around like it was no big deal.
Yeah.
They told people it wasn't an emergency, but then that wasted time. So they had to then go back and tell people. Meanwhile, downstairs, they're already kind of underwater a little bit. It's bad.
Well, there's water on the floor. They know it's bad. Yeah, they know that. Yeah.
Yeah, they know it's bad. And her mother and Billy Zane are kind of walking around, but they've now like laid a trap for her and Jack because they do catch them. They bring him back and they're like, hey, search his coat. And he drops the necklace into the coat.
Yeah, he plants it on him. It's like a real cop move. And Lovejoy was a cop at one point. I was like, that makes sense. Planting evidence. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Now, meanwhile, and again, this is a piece that Rose could not have known. The captain and Victor Garber and a bunch of people are like looking at the maps. And they're like, okay, how many compartments is it in? How many can we afford to fill? Like, because the boat hasn't started sinking yet. It's just like the crash has happened. And they're like, well, we're still up for now. So what's going to happen? And this is where Victor Garber's like, it's going to sink.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to sink. And they're like, how much time do we have? And he says, an hour or two at most. And they're like, how many people are aboard? And he's like, 2002. And he turns to Ismay and is like, you might get your headlines because essentially the conversation without saying it, a bunch of people are about to die.
Yep.
And they can't stop it from happening. And they know it.
Yep.
So they tell people to put warm clothes on, to put life belts on.
Quick, everyone, we're about to go in the water. Put on all your heaviest clothing.
Right. And I think in their mind, they're just thinking of like, you have to stay warm, but like then that wet clothing is on you and it's like a whole thing.
I think they were just trying to prepare everyone, assuming that everyone would be able to go on a lifeboat, even though they knew no one, like that wasn't going to happen for everybody,
Right. Well, and they end up not completely filling lifeboats either. We'll get to that in just a bit.
Which is insane. Yeah, they even talk about that in the movie.
Yeah. But they put out a distress call. They know the Carpathia is coming, but it's going to take 4 hours, which means absolute best case scenario, they somehow have to spend 2 hours in the water without a boat.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
So they start prepping the lifeboats. And Murdoch comes through and he's like, where are the passengers? They're like, we haven't collected them yet. They went back inside because it was cold. They thought this was a false alarm because the boats, nothing's happening, right?
Right.
And so they're gathering people to put life vests on, including Rose and her family, although they have taken Jack down to essentially like the brig and handcuffed him.
They literally handcuffed him to like just a pole in the jail.
Yep. But she's like, they run into Mr. Andrews, Victor Garber, and she's like, I saw the iceberg and I see it in your eyes. Please tell me the truth. And he's like, the ship will sink in about an hour or so. Don't tell people because we don't need people panicking, but get to a boat as fast as you can or you will die.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So they get up to the boats. It's women and children first. Her mom, Molly Brown, and Ismay and a couple other people get on the boats.
Dude, Ismay getting lowered down, like trying not to look over at the crew. Yeah.
And the shame.
Yeah. I was like, this dude knows he is a dirtbag because he was the one who was like, yeah, we didn't need a lifeboat, so we didn't want to pay for it.
Right.
Like he was the financier. Like it was his call kind of.
Yes.
He was the money.
Yes.
So he is leaving this boat knowing everyone's death is on his head. Although I'm sure he doesn't know, he's not thinking that because he's rich. So he doesn't really think, through the consequences of his decisions because they like rarely affect him.
Right.
But he is you can tell he feels a lot of shame in this moment.
Yep. And to be honest with you, he doesn't face a ton of legal consequences after.
I'm sure not.
Yeah, they do like a review, but they mostly blame the captain, who is dead by that point. So,
and also there is some truth that it is his fault.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, like although he did get pressured by this guy to make headlines, he does acknowledge that it is the captain's call though, because it's his vessel at that point.
Right.
So yeah, listen, I think they're both to blame for different reasons, but
sure,
the captain's definitely to blame as well.
Yep. But we get down into steerage and they've literally locked the gates so people cannot get up to the upper decks and cannot get up to the boats because they know there's no room for those people.
Yeah.
There's no room on the lifeboats.
And it's literally people who are also going to die that are keeping them locked out.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Man, some people are so dumb. They will die protecting the rich that do not give a shit about them.
Yes.
They will die keeping us down. It's insane.
100%.
It's insane.
I have complicated feelings about it because yes, it's insane and they should not have had gates. And the fact that they locked people down there and that is absolute insanity. But I think there's also this idea of like, if we let them up, it's chaos and people also die that way.
Yeah.
So like, what chaos do you want? And the answer is like, you kind of got to let them up and hope that you can get as many people on the lifeboats as possible and then hope the chaos isn't too bad after. Ideally, you should have just had lifeboats, but like, whatever. But because they are lower class, they lock them down there. And this is when we see Jeanette Goldstein with the two little kids.
It's brutal, man.
This is one of only 2 scenes. This is the part of the movie where James Cameron called all of his friends and were like, do you want one scene in this movie? Not caring that would add 50 minutes to a movie that's already too long, but fine.
Yeah. He's like, I want to do this Titanic sinking in real time, so I've got plenty of time to fill.
I got time.
And we've already got 3 minutes of Kate Winslet just running down a hallway with an axe screaming.
Yeah.
So like we can't do more of that.
And just so you know, if you're planning on watching this movie or if you're curious, they hit the iceberg at 1 hour and 40 minutes, which means you have 130 plus minutes of boat sinking.
Yes.
Which is the real time it took for the Titanic to sink. So in the time that you were watching this is basically the amount of time it took for the boat to sink.
It feels like it.
That is a terrifying reality.
Yeah.
But was unnecessary ultimately in the movie. Anyway, they're starting to get people into lifeboats, but they're not even filling them completely. And as that's happening, Leo is looking out the porthole. He sees water. He knows like the boat is starting to sink. And Lovejoy is like, I think this might sink. So here's a small token from the family to you, punches him and leaves.
Yeah.
Now, up on top, it is now women and children, but they want to sit according to class. So the first class women and children don't want to necessarily sit next to the steerage women and children.
Well, and that's why I think one of them went with just 12 people on it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
12 people when they could have fit 65.
Well, and they were rated for 70 men when they were rating those boats in, I forget, Ireland, wherever the city it was. Belfast, yeah.
Yeah. Now, this is where Molly Brown, the mom, Rose, and Cal are about to board a boat, although Cal is like, I'll get, another boat. It's fine.
Yeah.
But they're about to load her on, and he makes a comment of like, well, I should have kept that drawing. It'll probably be worth a lot more by morning, implying that like he's going to die and therefore it will be worth more.
Right.
And she's like, I can't let him die. So she leaves and she says, goodbye, mother. And at this point, Billy Zane says like, so you're going to go be his whore? And she's like, I'd rather be his whore than your wife. And you're like,
yes,
oh,
I loved
drop it. She's going to die though. Like that's.
And this is where she spits right in his face though. It's great.
Yes.
You do love it.
And she runs. They lower the boat. Now, down in the room where he is handcuffed, the water's seeping in. And he's like, oh, this could be bad. Could be bad? It's bad.
It's going to be bad. Yeah.
Going to be bad. Thus begins one of the scariest scenes in this movie where she forces herself into an elevator. And this is a manned elevator because this is old times.
Yeah.
And he has to control it. And as they get down to that floor, water starts pouring into the elevator.
Yeah.
Fucking terrifying.
I love that he was like, I'm leaving. I'm going back up. Like she gets off the elevator and he goes right back up.
Yep. So she makes her way to where Jack is because she got the directions from like a porter or something like that. But she doesn't have a key. There's no spare key. And now the bow of the ship is underwater.
Yeah.
So she's like, I'll go get help. She runs through the hallways of the next deck above and this deck. There's no one. Anyone who is still there is dead or resigned to dying.
Yeah.
No one is help. If you are trying to get out, you have already crowded that gate and are watching the water rise at that gate and kill people.
Yeah.
So she eventually gets an axe. She runs back. The fact that he asked her to do practice swings is crazy.
They had runtime to kill. This is like locked to exactly how long it took Titanic to sink. And so Cameron was like, I don't know, take a few practice swings. It'll eat up 30 seconds.
But even worse than that, and this is the part that I don't think anybody thought about, that was definitely a thing, and it's definitely a thing when boats sink today. So if you find yourself on a sinking boat today, remember this: electricity and water don't go great together.
They're not great, yeah.
They're not great. And we do see things like sparking and popping, but that, if any wire is in that water, it's a death trap.
Yeah.
The second you touch it, you're dead, right? And so the fact that she makes it through all of that, gets to him, they get the axe, they get out, they run past a kid, they got to go back and save the kid, but then the kid's dad comes, and then like a thing, a huge flume of water pushes them.
Yeah, that kid and that kid's dad die.
They die.
Like immediately, yeah.
They get to the gate has them locked in there. They got to go to the other gate, and then they like grab a bench and break through that gate. And it's just like a huge fight. Meanwhile, she then has the B plot that she doesn't know anything about.
Yeah.
Where we know that they're sending flares and some of the stuff of like they're sending out the lifeboats half full. What are we doing? But then they're like, oh, there's men on the other side. I'm going to pay this guy to let me out. There's all of that she doesn't know about that she's telling story of.
Well, and also the people playing music and like their story
right.
once the sinking starts. And
right.
It's really sweet because those things, those are historic things you've heard. And so it's like nice to see.
Right.
But it does eat up a lot of runtime. But again, he wanted it to take exactly how long it took.
Yes.
So like some shots are there because they do advance the story along and they're cool. And some are there because we just got like an hour and 40 minutes to fill, Yeah.
Well, and this is also where we see Ismay getting in and being lowered down onto the boat.
Yes, yeah.
They then get back up there and they run into Billy Zane, and Billy Zane and Leonardo DiCaprio are like, Rose, you get on the boat, we'll find another boat, fully knowing they're not going to find another boat. Or rather...
Well, he is. Billy Zane paid that guy. Yeah, he knows he's getting off.
But Jack knows he's not going to get on a boat.
Fully, yeah.
Billy Zane hands the coat to Rose, which we will find out the jeweled necklace is in that coat.
Right.
Now, she is on an almost full boat, and as it's pulling down, Leonardo says to Billy Zane, you're a good liar. And he's like, almost as good as you. And he basically says, there's no arrangement for me. And he's like, yeah, not for you. And he's like, I always win, Jack. But then Rose jumps off the lifeboat, which is so frustrating to me because like, first of all, he was willing to give his life for you. Let him do it. Secondly, someone else could have been on the boat if you're not going to be on the boat. So you're responsible for at least him dying and another person dying. Like,
Paige,
lady.
This decision from her is essentially what kills Jack.
Yes.
Because he could have laid on that door until the boat came over to pick him up.
Yes.
If she had gone on the other boat. Because every place they go that saves their life from here on out, Jack takes them. He knows exactly how it's going to go. So he would have survived if she had stayed on that boat.
Not only that, and hey, maybe Billy Zane would have tried to kill him, but I doubt it. Because I think at this point, Billy Zane's like, I don't give a fuck. She's on the boat. She has the necklace.
Billy Zane thinks he won.
Right?
Yeah.
But let's say she stays on that boat, right? She stays on that boat. Billy Zane and Jack are already on the deck where the other boats are. And eventually some men do end up on boats. If they had not, because when she gets off the boat, Billy Zane then chases her and Leonardo back down into the boat, which takes time, gets them wetter.
Yeah.
They have to get back up to the other side.
Well, he's like shooting at them with Lovejoy's pistol too. Like, yeah.
By then the boats are gone. If she had stayed on the boat, he probably would have made it onto another boat or onto the door and survived. Like, this choice absolutely kills him.
I know. I agree with me.
It's crazy. But she jumps and he catches her. He's like, you jump, I jump. And then for some reason, and this is dumb too, because Billy Zane and Lovejoy are like, they're like, let's get on the boat. Let's go. And Billy Zane's like, no, I gotta win. And like chases them down with the gun.
Paige, real men make their own luck. Duh. Billy Zane, Titanic.
Duh. But they run through the dining room, which puts them kind of back on the wrong side of the ship. And eventually he runs out of bullets and then runs back up and is like, all right, I guess I'll figure out a boat up there or whatever.
He literally says something like, enjoy your time together, because he knows they're going to be dead in like 15, 20 minutes tops. I mean, I realize she survives, but Jack is dead very shortly after this.
Well, and he says, he's like, oh, damn it. I put the necklace in the coat. I put the coat on her. Like, fuck. Oh, well, whatever.
It's insured.
Like, it's insured. But now Jack and Rose are stuck and they try to go around so they don't get shot at, and they are trapped by a gate. Yeah. And a guy runs by and they're like, oh my God, please open the gate. Please let us out. And he hesitates for a second. Because in a very human moment, he knows hesitating might mean the difference between his life and death. And that is very real. Yes. But he does stop. He tries to open. He drops the keys and he's like, I can't help you. I gotta go. Like, I will die. Yeah. So he runs. They get the keys. They get it open. But like, again, there's so much water. They've been in water for so long. They are at risk of hypothermia anyway.
They probably already have it if this is real life. Right. You know, like they've been in water for at least 4 or 5 minutes. And not even just like to their ankles. I mean, like to their waist and up. Like it's so deep down there at this point. And they're just like wading through it.
The fact that they are still able to walk or run on their legs, nearly impossible. Yeah. Like that's crazy. But this is where Billy Zane goes up to be like, hey, I paid you for a spot. And the guy throws the money back at him and he's like, your money can't save you or me. He shoots a guy who tries to get on the boat and then he shoots himself. Yeah. He does shoot Jack's friend, I think Tom.
It is Tom, yeah. And then Fabrizio actually puts on Tom's life vest because it's got blood on it.
Bastardo! And I was like, really? Again?
He's Italian, Paige!
I don't even think that's how you say bastard in Italian. I'm not going to check. But the guy shoots himself, falls into the ocean. Billy Zane grabs that little girl. They're like, I have a child. I'm all she has. So he makes it onto a boat. Yes. But that boat is not launching properly and they have to try and cut the lines. So Fabrizio goes and helps people cut the lines. Yeah. And then ends up in the ocean where then the smokestack crushes him, which is insane.
He literally was just trying to help that boat launch and dies.
And then we cut back into the boat where it's like Mr. Guggenheim and others. Now, Fabrizio almost dies a different, more horrifying way, which is as the boat is pulling down, it has suction and then a lot of the windows are already broken. So a lot of people died because they made it off the boat, but they're in the water and then the suction pulled them back into the bottom floors of the boat. Fucking awful. That's the fucking worst. Like,
and you were probably dead by the time you got there because of the rattling around through the halls. Yes. As the water is like just sucking you around. Yeah, you were probably beaten to death by the walls and rails and the things that make up that ship. Yes. It's so terrifying.
It's awful. We see Guggenheim with his brandy. Yeah. They're goodbye, old chap, which is crazy. We see Victor Garber reset the clock on the mantle.
And he's just like, he's got 2 different drinks on the mantle and both of them fall. And he's just like leaning into the mantle because it's the angle it's at. It's a really cool shot and it's really sad, but you can tell he actually is like, this is my fault. Like he blames himself. This guy's doing such a great job of acting in this moment. And it kind of makes you like, even though he was one of the rich kind of elitist, like it'll never happen guys, immediately he knows this is his fault and he like owns it.
Yeah. Well, and that's why he stays on the ship. That's why the captain stays on the ship. They go down with the ship. We see that old couple together who decide to go down with the ship. We see Jeanette Goldstein and her 2 children who didn't have a choice. They are locked down there. So like,
she's just like telling them a story about like what it's going to be like when they're dead. It's so sad. Yeah. It's so sad.
Yep. But so Fabrizio cuts the falls. Everyone's dying down below. Everyone's being sucked through the windows. Yeah. That steam pipe kills Fabrizio. Fuck that. Come on.
I know, right?
Couldn't put him on a boat. Anyway, Cal Billy Zane is like pushing people off his lifeboat.
Yeah.
He's a true villain, right?
Yeah, dude's a terrible guy. Yeah.
Terrible. But they do stop and see Victor Garber really quick, but then they have to run. And Jack is like, we got to go. They get to the place where they first met, that other side of the boat.
Yeah, the back of the boat.
And as demonstrated in the like thing before, the boat breaks in half, that half goes up. We see a ton of floating dead bodies and broken plates. There's a whole like 20 minutes of visuals here of just like dead bodies, broken plates, flooded furniture, crashing through the ballroom.
People falling from what are like skyscraper size heights because the back of the boat's way in the air at this point.
Right.
Like that's why one of them, like the Foley sound of them hitting the propeller is like laughably like
Boom.
Yeah. You're like, oh God, that's terrible.
Yeah, the electricity goes out, the ship breaks apart. It falls and kills a bunch of people, but then it bobs back out of the water.
Yeah, it's like the worst roller coaster ever.
Yes, and bodies are falling. I think for me, one of the worst is the bodies falling on the ship and hitting the other railings.
Yes.
That, like, it was giving me 9/11 vibes in the worst way.
Oh, yeah, it is very much
it was
that.
bad.
Yeah.
But it's basically going to suck them down. And Jack is like, all right, it's going to suck us down. Deep breath and then keep kicking. And remember, she has a life belt. He does not. They end up underwater. They get separated. She gets to the surface. And momentarily, there's a guy that keeps trying to push her down to stay up because it is honestly a reflex. Drowning people will often accidentally drown the people that are trying to save them or near them just because your body like scrambles to try and stay up.
Yeah.
But Jack gets to her. They get her up on a door. And at this point, I was like, okay, 8 to 9 minutes in the water. If you go in dry and warm, they're dead already. Like they are dead, right?
Yeah.
But she gets on the door and they do the I'll never let you go or whatever. There's definitely room for both of them. I know James Cameron did this like there wouldn't be room because I don't give a shit. There is room for both of us.
They kind of even show it in the movie that he tries to get on and it starts to flip the door. So he's just like, no, I'll stay in the water. I'd have been like, stay here. I'm going to go find some other debris to get on and I'll try and paddle over.
Or, hey, bitch, if you go to this part of the door and I go on this part of the
go
door,
to the other
even
corner.
it out.
Yeah.
You never been on a pool floaty?
Yeah.
Jeez. And so, like, she's on the door, he's down dying. And then, now that the ship has sunk, because they had to get the lifeboats away so they wouldn't get sucked down when the ship sunk. So now they're away. And then they blow the whistle to return the lifeboats. Only one boat comes back. And it's manned by the few crew members who managed to escape, that they have, like, tied a bunch of the other boats together. Like, okay, you guys are safe. Then we're going to take a boat out. We're going to find people. And they're going through the debris field, and it is haunting.
It's terrible, yeah. It's like just a bunch of floating dead bodies because they're all wearing life vests.
Right. But they go to pass Kate Winslet, and she's like, Jack, there's a boat, and he's fully dead. And
he's already dead.
Spends way too long talking to him about it.
Yeah. And then she says, I'll never let you go, and pushes him into the water.
Lets him go.
Yeah.
But then she is like calling out. They can't hear her. So she swims over to the guy that was blowing the whistle to return the boats. She gets to the whistle. She blows it. They get back to her. They put her on the boat.
Yeah.
1,500 people. Only one boat came back. They only rescue 6 people from the water.
Yeah.
And only 700 people in the boats make it. They make it onto the Carpathia. But admittedly, she probably would have died in that boat.
Because once she even got in the lifeboat, it's like a 2-hour wait.
Right,
and she's like, she's in all wet clothes.
And she's full hypothermia. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the best case scenario would be to her to get completely naked and stay under that blanket.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we get to the Carpathia where they've still separated them by class. And Cal is walking around looking for her because I'm guessing he found out from somebody that they saw her or whatever.
Oh, I think he's just looking because everyone's looking for survivors.
Right.
And that's his property page in his mind.
Yeah, for sure.
He's terrible. But she sees him and like just hides. It's like, no, I don't want that life. And then when she gets off the boat, she takes Jack's last name. So she does just assume she died.
Yeah, Rose Dawson. But she does say that he dies from what she heard in 1929 and killed himself because of the market crash.
Yeah.
And then we come back to modern day and they're like, we never found anything on Jack. And she's like, I don't even have a picture. It's just in my memory now. And then this part, okay, she throws the diamond into the sea, right?
It's insane.
But then we get a cut of Bill Paxton, who's like, for the last 3 years it's been nothing but the Titanic, but I never let it in. And I was like, he wants to fuck that boat. Like, what are we talking about? What do you mean I never let it in? What are you talking about? That means nothing. That means nothing.
I think it's because he studied the Titanic for like a diamond heist, more or less.
I guess.
And he wasn't really considering the people that died, I think.
Maybe there's a way better way to say that.
Yeah, nobody said this script was perfect.
No, this script is terrible. But more underwater footage to take more time and just give us a see, you saw this out of the water, now you're seeing it under the water. And then we see old Rose, who dreams she's back on board with everyone who died because the Titanic is heaven.
Yeah. And that's the movie. So having seen the movie and we talked about the movie, what did you think about Titanic?
I could have gone without seeing this, frankly.
And you did for so long and then ended that streak for this, which I appreciate. I'm glad that you had to watch it too. I definitely thought it was the heights of romance as a child. Watching it now, I'm like, nah, not really. I did like that Billy Zane dies at the end, so, happy ending. But, it's a movie.
Yeah.
But it's so iconic because everyone saw this in 97, if you were alive, more or less, unless you were Paige.
Correct.
But Paige, do you have any fun facts for us?
Yes.
Well, hit us with your fun facts.
Titanic fun facts. I'm going to cover a handful of fun facts, obviously because it's the Titanic.
Yeah, you're going to have a lot.
There's a lot more fun facts. I will tell you, go look at the exercise room. That is just kind of weirdly cool. I'm going to focus more on movie fun facts.
That's appropriate.
But if you want to hear more just about the boat, I did write that episode of Ship Hits the Fan. So good.
Yeah, check it out.
I guess check that out too. But so the elderly couple seen hugging on the bed while the water floods their room were based on the owners of Macy's department store in New York.
What?
Rosalie Ida Strauss and Isidore Strauss, both of whom died on the Titanic. Ida was offered a seat on a lifeboat and refused to go without her husband, saying, quote, "As we have lived together, so shall we die together."
Oh my God, that's so sad.
There was a scene filmed that depicted this moment, but it was cut from the final version. It was Mrs. Strauss who originally said, "Where you go, I go." That inspired Rose's same line in the film.
Okay, all right.
In the scene where the water comes crashing into the grand staircase room, they only had one shot at it because the entire set and furnishings were going to be destroyed in the flood. They did actually flood it.
That's crazy. I've actually seen footage of them doing that shot, like behind the scenes footage. It's so cool, but they are destroying a set. It's insane.
Oh, yeah. Many of the extras, especially in that back, hour and 30 minutes, were based on accounts from actual survivors. So in the scene where two little girls are loaded onto a lifeboat and their father said, "It's only for a little while," that's based on the testimony from Ava Hart, one of the little girls who survived. In the scene, he said, "Hold mommy's hand and be a good little girl." According to Ava Hart, these were the last words her father said to her, and the last she ever saw of him.
Heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking.
Yes.
And even if they were first class, like a lot of first class men died because it was women and children first, and they honored that.
Yeah.
Except for Billy Zane.
Okay, so the scenes set in 1912, basically the entire movie except present day scenes and the opening and ending credits, have a total length of 2 hours and 40 minutes. And that is the exact time it took for Titanic to sink, which also means had they been able to stay up for another hour, Carpathia would have made it.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's heartbreaking how close they came to being rescued for a lot of these people. But that is the exact time it took for it to sink. The collision with the iceberg reportedly lasted 37 seconds, which is also how long the collision scene is in the movie. Most of the post-sinking scenes were shot in a 350,000 gallon tank.
Jesus.
Yeah, frozen corpses were created by applying a powder on the actors that then crystallized when exposed to water, and then wax was applied to their hair and clothes to create a wet look. So most of the bodies that you see are people just staying very still.
Oh, Jesus. It is so eerie. It's so, yeah.
Yeah. James Cameron, in making this movie and a little bit before the movie, went on 12 dives to the actual Titanic himself.
Yeah.
And found seeing the sunken ship an overwhelming emotional experience. During his first trip, He was so goal-oriented that he managed to film the shots that he wanted, but as soon as he was back on the surface, he says he broke down in tears after finally realizing the magnitude of the historical tragedy he had just witnessed. He spent more time with the ship than its living passengers did.
Jesus.
And here's the thing. We talked about it in the beginning. This is not my personal historical fascination.
It is his.
I completely understand it being somebody else's, right?
Yeah.
That I completely get being that in-depth. Like, when I went to the Tower of London and saw where they kept Anne Boleyn, I was like, wow, right? So, like, I fully get that he is, like, super into this.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so 12 dives, and that he has gone back since. He routinely goes back. This is his obsession on Earth, I think.
Oh, man.
According to, and this is a story that Kate Winslet has told a couple times, but after finding out she had to be naked in front of Leonardo DiCaprio when they first met, she decided to break the ice and flash him, which I think is pretty funny.
That is funny.
Yes. Gloria Stewart, who plays Old Rose, was aged up to look 100, but she was 86 at the time.
Wow. Okay.
But fun fact, she lived quite a while after this movie. She died in 2010 at the age of 100.
No, that's awesome.
Yes.
Wow, good for her, man.
Now, here's a part of the movie making process that I admire the effort and commitment. However, it does not help necessarily because of the pacing issues and a million things with this movie.
Yeah.
But James Cameron spoke to and personally provided each of the featured extras, so at least 150 of them, with names and backstories of real Titanic passengers that they were portraying.
Not surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did mention that it is James Cameron's hands drawing Kate Winslet.
Yeah.
However, he is left-handed, and so those shots had to be mirror flipped so he would appear right-handed like Leonardo DiCaprio.
That's funny. I didn't realize that.
Yep. Due to the long theatrical run of this movie, and I'm sure you're going to cover this in box office, this is why it made dillions of dollars, Paramount and 20th Century Fox had to send replacement reels out to theaters that had worn out their reels from showing it too much.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Most of the stuntmen in the engine room scenes are only 5 feet tall to make the engine room look a lot bigger. That's also why all of those scenes are shot low angle up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. When James Cameron decided to include real footage of the Titanic's remains, so anytime you're seeing it underwater, that is real footage of the Titanic. He didn't just want to shoot from inside a submersible, as had been done for the IMAX documentary Titanica in 1992, which I definitely did see at one point at a museum, I think, because I have definitely seen that documentary.
Yeah.
To allow filming from outside the sub, his brother and Panavision developed a deep sea camera system capable of withstanding the 400 atmospheres of pressure at that depth. I'm not going to give the number. I'll save it for box office, but I will let you know that this movie cost more than the Titanic itself.
That does not surprise me at all, but we will talk about that.
Yes. And not just by a little bit. This movie cost about $50 million more, even accounting for inflation, than the cost to build the Titanic. Again, even accounting for inflation.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Now, part of the reason they had blueprints and information about the ship was because the Belfast shipyard, Harland and Wolff, who built the Titanic in 1909, opened up their private archives to the production, sharing blueprints that people had thought were lost for years. Now, this is also why people are kind of interested in the town that built the Titanic, because it basically became like the whole town's project. It's Belfast, it's a big city.
Yeah.
But like it became that, like, the biggest project in Belfast for like 3 years. It was a huge undertaking. That's where most people worked at the time.
Yeah.
So it is, we didn't cover it a ton on Ship Hits the Fan. Not a ton of people cover it here, but that was like a huge thing for Belfast at the time. I'll end on this one because I have harped on the score quite a bit. James Cameron originally did not want any songs in the film, not even in the credits.
What?
Which is insane. He has, when asked about this, he said that he feels like they don't often match the tone. However, the composer, James Horner, was like, I gotta end the movie on an emotional note, and we kind of need a song. He had already coordinated with Will Jennings and Celine Dion to create My Heart Will Go On, assuming they would use it for like marketing or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
And he had created just the basic musical theme as the melody, the do 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 do,
yeah,
that plays through the entire fucking film. So they took that and then recorded with the senior executives present. They loved the song and they showed it to James Cameron, who was like, I mean, okay. But when told that she was Canadian and that it was Celine Dion, he was like, oh, she's kind of a big deal, right? And that was how they were able to include the song in the closing credits. But like originally he just wanted like boat, sink, cut, like no music over the credits.
All right, everybody go home.
Just this weird flute through the whole Casio keyboard flute through the whole movie.
Yeah.
But then they do include the song in the closing credits, and it does go on to win the Academy Award for Best Original Song and to be played on recorders by children everywhere. And those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts, Paige. Let's talk a little bit about box office. So what do you think the production budget was for Titanic in 1997?
So I know.
Okay.
So this is not a guess.
Feel free to spoil it though.
Yeah. Spoiler, $200 million. And if you're wondering, accounting for inflation, so back in 1912, it cost them 1.5 million pounds, or $7.5 million in 1910 to 1912 money to build the Titanic. Accounting for inflation, that's somewhere between 120 and 150 million in 1997 dollars. So yeah, over 50 million more than to build the ship itself.
Yeah, it was so much money that Cameron had to give back his $8 million salary that he was being paid to make the movie.
He's done that more than once.
Yeah, he had some back end on it too, so he ended up making a little more than $97 million off of it, probably closer to $100 million off of it.
Jesus.
So that was the right choice, I think, to give him 8 back, and because you know you're going to make almost 100 on the other side anyway.
Yeah.
It also won 11 Academy Awards. Like, it did really well.
Yeah.
It was also the first movie ever to have a budget of more than $200 million. The next closest one, I believe, was Waterworld, that clocked in close to $175 million.
Which bombed really bad. And now having a budget over 200 million is not that crazy these days. But like,
right.
Here's the thing. Every single cent is on the screen.
I agree.
This was in 97, an incredible undertaking. So much of it is practical. So much of it is filmed with real people. So much of it is historically accurate. Like, for as much as I did not necessarily enjoy watching the movie, I can absolutely be like, oh, this was damn near impossible in 1997, and they made it real. And it paves the way for things like Lord of the Rings that we get a few years later, with similar budgets to create, you know, seemingly these fantastical worlds that honestly look better than a bunch of stuff today for 200 million. So, you know.
Yep. Now, this movie did come out December 19th, 1997. It was number 1 the weekend it came out. It beat Paige, Tomorrow Never Dies, that it also premiered that week.
Badass movie, though.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And then Scream 2 was also out that week. Amistad was 4 that week, and Mouse Hunt was 5 that week.
We definitely saw Mouse Hunt.
Of course. It was also premiering that week. What do you think Titanic brought in its opening weekend when it was number 1 in the theaters?
I mean, this was a cultural phenomenon. I'd be shocked if it brought in under 40 opening weekend.
Yeah, Paige, it actually only brought in, and this is a big number, $28.6 million.
That's still huge for an opening weekend.
It is. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it that way because the next weekend, when it was still number 1, it brought in $35 million.
Damn.
The next week it was $33 million. Then it was $28.7 million in its 4th week. So its first week actually had a lower gross box office number than the next 3 weeks after it.
Whew.
Sorry, 5 weeks after it, because it brought in just over $30 million in its 5th week. Paige, this movie was number 1 for 15 weeks at the box office. It was only 2nd place for 1 week, but it was literally in or out of the top 5 for the first 21 weeks. Was the last week it was 4th in the box office. Jeez. It then was in between like 5 and 6 for a few weeks, and then in its 27th week, it fell to 13th and then was never again back at the top of the box office. But it was in for 41 weeks total in its initial run.
Damn.
What do you think it brought in domestically at the box office?
I think domestically it has to hit at least like 320.
Paige, it's going to be quite a bit over that.
Shoo!
Now, initially, it was just over $600 million in 97.
Holy shit.
It has returned to theaters.
A couple times, yeah.
At least once. I think it was twice. It's three times. One in 2012, one in 2017, and one in 2023. And since then, it's pushed it up to a total of $674 million domestically. It also brought in another $1.5 billion internationally for a total of $2.2 billion. This was also the first movie to break the $1 billion mark worldwide.
Yeah.
I believe it was for the $2 billion mark, because if you adjust all that for inflation, that's technically $4.5 billion today is what it brought in the box office. When I heard that Cameron made $97 million off the back end of this, I was like, that's too much money. And then when I saw how much money it made, I was like, that's not enough money.
Right?
$4.5 billion in today's dollars was how much it made in theaters.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, just thinking through this, what else is on that top 10? What has made more than this? I know some things have, but like this still has to be close to top 10, right?
I'll check right now. Honestly, Paige, looking at this list, it's a lot of James Cameron.
Yeah,
Number
sure.
1 is Avatar. Number 2 is Avengers Endgame.
Sure.
Then Avatar, The Way of Water.
Who keeps seeing these? Anyway, go ahead.
And then Titanic.
Okay.
And then Niza 2, which is a Chinese animated fantasy adventure film.
Cool.
I have not
I've
seen it,
not
but
seen that.
everyone else has.
All right.
And then The Force Awakens is 6th. Avengers Infinity War is 7. Spider-Man No Way Home is 8. Zootopia 2 is 9. And Inside Out 2 is 10.
Good for Zootopia too.
Yeah.
Because that's recent. Wow.
Yeah, they've done pretty well. Anyway, this movie made quite a lot of money. That's, I guess, the end of your box office, but it's a very impressive run for Cameron, who has like 5 of the top 10 grossing movies of all time.
I mean, that's why they let him do whatever he wants.
Yes.
Of course.
It's crazy. But Paige, that's your box office. You want to hit us with that romance scale?
Sure, our romance scale is a scale of 1 to 4 of how romantic we found the movie today. Todd.
It's a 1. It's not super romantic now, although when I first saw it and I was like a little child-ass child, I was like, this is the height of romance. It would have been my 10. But it's because I hadn't lived, guys. I had not yet lived.
Right. And that's your romance scale.
Well, once you give us yours.
I mean, I won. This
Yeah.
is a 1. I don't find it very romantic at all.
It's a 1 on the roar scale, too. All we get's a hand slap. Like, it's not.
Right.
Yeah.
And that hand is not slapping a butt. So it's a 1 on the roar scale.
Very true. Yeah.
And there's your roar scale as well.
So this week, Paige, you made us watch Titanic. What are we going to watch next week as we kick off our next 300 episodes?
Yes. So we're starting with Historical Romance Month. And here's how I'm defining that, is that the movie has to be depicting a time before the movie itself was made. Right? So like the movie is specifically a period piece. So I would like to start us out with one that people have requested for quite a long time, that has come back into popularity because Wamsgans on Succession was in it. And that is Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley.
That's one of Natalie's favorite movies.
It's the only Pride and Prejudice version I truly enjoy.
That is the correct opinion. But we will talk about it next week when we do that movie. I kind of love it too. But that's your homework for next week. Watch Pride and Prejudice. I'm so excited. This is going to be great. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hey, do you have any reviews for us?
I do. This week, I'm going to read one of our comments from our most recent Spotify episode, that being the Eyes Wide Shut episode, which after Natalie edited that and I listened to it, I was like, man, I really hated that movie.
You hated that
anyway,
movie.
I'm going to read this comment from Buffy, who says, open marriage regrets are my favorite stories on the internet.
Me too. Here's the thing. I know a lot of people that have done it and it works for them and good for them. Great.
Yes.
But I have seen so many internet stories of dudes being like, I didn't think she'd get more dates than me. And that always cracks me up.
Of course she's going to get more dates than you, you idiot. You look like Kevin Federline does now. Anyway, I also want to put someone in the comments just, the nipples are wrong, all in caps.
The nipples are wrong. I'm not crazy. I know what I saw.
They're definitely on your side for that one. But Buffy and Scythe, those are the 2 comments I read. Thank you so much for your comments. And if you want to have me read your Spotify comments or 5-star Apple review, leave us one of those things and I'll do just that. So yeah, if you guys like this show and want to hear our other show where we talk about horror movies, that is The Horror Virgin. That's the only other podcast I am on, but Paige is also on Cult Podcast, which you can find at Cult Podcast. And you can find us on social media. I am at Todd J. Awesome, literally everywhere. Paige is at Paige Wesley on Instagram.
No, it's at Rampage Wesley on Instagram and TikTok, at Paige Wesley on Twitter.
That's right. All right. So that's where you can find Paige. If you want to find the show, we are at Romancing the Pod Show, right?
Yep. Romancing Pod Show on Twitter.
Well, and Instagram, right?
And Instagram, but it's show SHO because character limits. If you start typing Romancing the Pod, it'll come up.
It'll definitely come up on Instagram. I don't know about Twitter because I haven't posted on Twitter in a hot ass minute. So who knows? But that is where you can find more of us. So yeah, guys, give us a follow. Support the show any way you can. We'd love it.
Smash that like button.
Hell yeah.
And that's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
And I'm Todd.
And you complete us.
Completion. Bye, Celine Dion nerds.
Hey, this is Lauren Ash. I'm primarily known as an actor. You may have seen me playing Dina on Superstore or Lexi on Not Dead Yet. But did you also know that I have a true crime podcast? That's right. I host True Crime and Cocktails with my cousin, Christy Oxborough. She is my best friend in the world, my cousin by blood, sister by life, and she is a fantastic true crime researcher. We've been doing the show for 5 years, and we cover a different case on every episode. We're also kind of known for our signature banter that we do in every episode. A lot of people talk about how it's like listening in on 2 best friends just having a chat, which is kind of what it is. We like to cover a variety of crimes. Like I always say, true crime doesn't always mean murder. We do heists, we do scandals, we do all kinds of things. So come check us out. New episodes of our award-winning podcast, True Crime and Cocktails, are available every Tuesday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hi, I am Mandy Moore.
Sterling K. Brown.
And I'm Chris Sullivan. And we host the podcast That Was Us, now on HeadGum.
Each episode, we're going to go into a deep dive from our show, This Is Us.
That's right.
We're going to go episode by episode. We're also going to pepper in episodes with different guest stars and writers and casting directors.
Yeah.
Are we going to cry? Yes.
A little bit.
Are we going to laugh?
A lot.
A whole lot.
That's what I'm hoping, man. Listen to That Was Us on your favorite podcast app or watch full video episodes on YouTube or Spotify. New episodes every Tuesday.